Wake up, gamers, because you're listening to the Big Think Dimension with Dan and Bob Video Games. Hey, Bob.
What's up?
Did you know some of these we improv at the last second? You can't even tell which ones those are.
I had no idea.
You can't tell the difference.
Mind.
It's just as good. Just as good.
All right, yeah.
Chris Wolfhard.
I'm going to become Ragnarok.
And Dr. Aggro.
Video games?
Here on GigaBoots.
Did that motherfucker just steal our catchphrase? I'm gonna sue you for that and the Echoey fart sound you stole. Welcome everybody to Big Think Dimension number 232. We have a lot to talk about this week. A lot to talk about. Much has changed. The world's a different place now.
Is it?
No. God, no. Of course not. Virtually nothing happened this week.
But we play video games.
I played some great video games, though.
Virtual is the stuff we cover in the news.
That's true. Virtually all about that. Virtually. So I played a video game. It's called Until You Fall. This is my video game to talk about of the week. We could get to what we streamed later.
Is this an actual game or is this a bit?
No, this
about
is
you played Ring Fit and then collapsed.
Why was I wearing the headset while playing Ring Fit? Who knows? Maybe I was trying to work my neck out. Until You Fall is pretty great. I will start with the bitter medicine first. It is a roguelike. But this is, I played it on the PSVR 2. This game is basically somebody made sword combat with magic and a litany of different weapons, which feel different when you use them, into Punch-Out.
Ooh, that's a good fucking VR game.
Yes, it is. I played something like 7 hours of it this week. Enemies come up to you, even though there's like a mob of them. They basically duel you one at a time, except for when they decide to be rude. So you'll fight a litany of different enemies, and you get, I believe it's like 8 different weapons when you craft them. And the interesting thing about this VR game is the dagger will track your hand 1-to-1. But if you use like a battle cleric's mace, it will actually have weight. So even though your arm will be doing this, it will have swing to it. And since this game's punch-out loop is you need to do a parry, 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 and then attack them enough to break their guard in a sort of stagger-like mechanic to then do health damage, it is really fascinating to be like, well, this mace does an insane amount of guard damage, but it also follows my hand slightly slower than is easy to parry with. So you get the choices because you have 2 hands. So you can actually have a really good parry knife and then something meteor like that. On top of that, each of these weapons has like a super move that's a spell. So this battle cleric like a mace thing has soul burn. And you can cast that from any distance. So you'll activate that, shoot out a fireball, it'll hit them and start doing poison damage to them. It's real sick. This is a good video game. You hit somewhere around like a third in, it'll unlock some more types of weapons for you to craft, and it'll start giving you cracked out Hell Knights to sort of fight. And once you get them past the first layer of health bar, they just go devil trigger and start attacking you with 6 sets of really fast parries in a row. And I'm like, I've been training with weighted clothing that is this mace this entire time. I've got this. Really, really fun game. Just absolutely delightful. You know, you're doing your runs. Every stage of it, you're getting upgrades for which you can choose for either hand, or it could be a more generic thing of like health or dash, which I guess I should explain that because that is a core part of this that actually is interesting, and you may not realize the importance of it at first. So if you push the right stick forward, you do a dash, like you cover a short distance. And that is an attack in and of itself to stun the enemy. So if you get your loops down correctly, you're starting an encounter by hitting them with that, which stuns them long enough to swing insanely fast your arm to hit them 4 times before they can stand up. And then you can maybe, just maybe, get like a guard break in there that fast. Anyway, fantastic game. You can upgrade the weapons and stuff back at the base. They get various things of like leveling up how many sockets you get on each weapon, leveling up their damage. You can be an idiot like me and be like, I don't need 2 weapons. My left hand will be this weird crest, which gives buffs to the right hand, basically.
Now you're talking.
Like, theoretically, I could still punch them and do tiny baby damage, but like at some point, that's a distraction from me parrying everything. Kinetically, a very enjoyable game. Structurally, a very enjoyable game. But I'm not under the impression it's a massively long game. I'm something like 4 stages from the end of it and have been for a day. Because I switched from, you start with like a sword. I unlocked that battle cleric mace thing. And then what I assume is probably the last tier of weapons to unlock, a Katar. So my arm is just an arm blade now that I'm parrying with. And it is one-to-one motion, really great feeling, but also because it's so thin, I really have to line it up, it feels like.
Oh.
And since it's all over the place and I have one arm to parry with, because this is still a Knight's Crest level 5 that's giving me a huge buff to guard damage, it is risky parrying-wise, but that Katar gets a really good unlock where it does a massive amount of health damage if you finish your combo. Because as I was talking about with its stagger-like mechanic, you get, at that point, these visually unique cues as they're staggered to specifically slice them in certain ways to do the health damage. So you need to quickly go through all of those. You can extend your combo. Every weapon has different combo lengths. And once you do that, you have finished it. The Katar, the arm blade, is just like, I do an insane amount if you finish the whole combo. While I have 4 guys around me, some of which are assholes, and throwing like magic spells at me, which I have to align my blade to parry. But usually they're polite. And if they're not polite, what I usually do is lure off a Hell Knight to a corner of the area with a big rock wall, so that way they can't shoot me from the other fucking side. And it works out pretty good. That game's great. You would think a game that like, you can look at it and be like, this could have been like a PS3 game, but we zoomed the camera way in and I'm looking at it from the ground. But the textures and everything are like way better, and the rendering resolution obviously way better. But the thing on PSVR 2 locks 120. It proves my exact argument of like, we don't need these VR games to look insane. They just need to run smooth and be pleasant looking through art design and stuff.
Yeah, it's amazing how much, like, yes, having a, like, Call the Mountain. It's fucking gorgeous. Looking around at the vistas is amazing. But in a lot of games I've found, just sitting in much simpler environments where it's a lot closer in and a lot lower polygon count is equally amazing. Like the shit, I'll talk about it later. I downloaded Moss. The update for PS5.
I came this close.
I recommend doing that. Just sitting in that area, the feeling of presence you have in it's astounding.
Yeah.
It's a whole different set of benchmarks to shoot for when you're designing areas in VR.
Yeah.
Yeah, is the style like, is it going for a realistic style, or is it something more cartoony?
No, it's more in, like, I don't say this in a negative way, but I guess you would call it somewhere between a League of Legends and a Warcraft, but the art fires a lot better for me. There's just something about it. The funny thing is, when you die in this game, when you run out of health completely, everything goes black and white to just let you know, and it freezes the exact frame you died. So there have been times there's a knife in my throat, and I'm like, okay, I'm not touching the accusations on this one.
Look at what you did.
But when it does that, because it's taken all of the color out of it, it looks way worse instantly. It instantly just looks bad, where I'm like, yeah, this sure was, like, fidelity wise aimed at the Quest 2 and brought up to everything else. But yeah, it has like a really saturated, cool, sort of like colorful League of Legends or World of Warcraft sort of aesthetic. It's really nice. It's really nice. The story is, I feel like, indistinguishable from countless other roguelikes where it's just like, you've been brought back to life to fight the Scourge? I don't know. Anyways, there are these
get
monsters.
In the tower.
Yeah. Do it. Luckily, I'm not in a tower.
Get on the wheel.
We didn't end up in Godfall. I'm thanking God for that. I have a real thin patience when it comes to combat elevators nowadays, and I feel like I would have snapped if I spent $20 on that. But yeah, it's really cool. It's a really cool, super enjoyable game.
my arm's killing me. I'm dying because I played something like 7 hours of it across 2 days. And I'm starting to think if I play it again after I beat the game, I'm going to have to try to do the left-armed run. Because, I got to even that out a bit.
I'd be curious to try like two-handed weapon or like two different weapons.
I haven't even talked to, they do have two-handed weapons. They have like war hammers that are massive.
How does that
feel?
You
have the R1s on the PSVR controller and whatever they call it on every other VR controller. Pushing that with your hand will summon your weapon. But unlike every other time, you bring your other hand up and then click that button to grab the other end of it. And just like the mace, but now for two hands, you have to pivot. And then the amount of time it takes your character to swing is dependent on the weight and the physicality and exactly what you did. I'm going to be honest, I was really interested in that. But after I tried it on the combat dummy, like I bought the weapon and then just tried it on the combat dummy, I'm like, yo, I'm not even going to make it 4 stages in. I don't think this is happening, but this is cool as shit. Also, if I weren't an idiot, I could have put a knife in the left hand. And the weirdest part is you can swing that hammer one-handed. It's just insanely fucking hard.
Nice.
Like you have to do some really specific momentum to get that thing going. But yeah.
The design of the physics in this game sounds like, because the first thing everybody wanted to do with VR was make a sword fighting game. And then we all immediately realized, oh, you can't do that easily in VR because this controller is weightless and getting feedback on a stick fighting game is hard.
Right.
So a lot of times when you're using implements in VR, sometimes like, oh, it feels like this was programmed weird and the immersion breaks. This sounds more like I'm in a fucking G Gundam cockpit trying to control the robot outside.
Yeah, like it makes perfect sense to you kinetically in the moment, but it does add that abstraction layer that makes it possible to give different weapons weapon feel. I'm really interested in what these developers are going to make with their next game because this one element of it is so nailed that I'm like, what you can do from that understanding going forward must be truly like intense. Like imagining a sort of RPG instead of just a roguelike, imagining anything else building upon that. Kind of like Boneworks was like the predecessor to Half-Life Alyx. Just imagining that.
It's exciting. Like we're still building a base of institutional knowledge of how to make these games.
Right. Which is why it was funny when the Pistol Whip devs are like, by the way, here are all the things we've innovated in the VR space. And it's like, oh, that is a really long list. You were the first to do all of these? That's insane. Why aren't you rich? They're like, because we did it in the VR space.
Right.
Dude, if this were the 90s and you did this level of innovations for like any other genre of video game, you would be John Carmack right now. But yeah, it's really great. It's currently like for the next week or so on sale on the PlayStation for PSVR 2 for 20 instead of 25 because 25 is the full price. And I've been looking at this thing for a little bit. Viewer of ours, Big Nerd Sam, pointed out a month ago that this was like their favorite PSVR 1 game.
Oh.
And this is now a native PSVR 2 thing. And I'm like, oh, I'm really glad I didn't play it on PSVR 1 because now I get to enjoy it fresh on this really high-end headset. That's awesome. Aside from that, I don't have anything to say other than, did you know there's a world in VR chat with every Smash Brothers model ripped? The more you know.
I can't say I'm surprised.
Yeah, no, that just makes sense. Also the assist trophies. Aside from that, I'm trying to think. I played more Ring Fit. Ring Fit's great. It's really great. I got more skills in the skill tree. This is a great game. And then I went to Leg World. Leg World has been slow and excruciating. Bob.
Yeah, what's up?
Are you gonna leave, Dan? Are you gonna leave Leg World like that House of Decline comic where it's like we're the chufty guys who wear shorts and walk all the time, so our legs are really well defined. It's just a big group of guys in like Hawaiian shirts and shorts with really defined legs.
Probably. I don't like Leg World. I don't want to stay there long. I'm like chugging the potions that make, or the smoothies that make your leg moves do more damage because I'm like, come on, man. I've done so many squats today. Leave me alone. Anyway. You know what? We'll transition so that way the VR heads get their win at the beginning. Hey, Aggro.
Hey, Dan.
I was on the day I went to buy a VR game because I went, holy shit, I've been playing Pistol Whip for 2 months straight. I almost bought Moss because part 1's on sale, and I think part 2...
They're both on sale.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. How is Moss?
Moss is charming as fuck.
Yeah.
Like the game opens and you're sitting in a giant empty cathedral hall looking at a book and gripping and turning giant pages. Mm-hmm. And every level of this game, you're sort of sat in an area. Like early on, you're in a mouse village in the woods, but you're like normal human size, just sort of sat at the edge of this village. And like you look over in the water and it's got a face for you and the glowing orbs of your hands. And you are both controlling the little mouse character and messing with stuff in the environment.
Oh.
So you are this big spirit giant that people know is there, sometimes moving giant blocks, sometimes grabbing enemies with one hand and then moving the mouse over to fuck them up with the other.
Man, I had no idea there was that angle to it. Like, I thought it was just the mouse.
Right.
It's like I started playing it. I'm like, oh, this is the game I was hoping would exist as soon as VR started becoming a thing.
Aggro's like, finally, I could be a real giant.
That's it. I'm like, yes, finally a video game for me.
I feel so represented.
But I was describing the environments before because a lot of it takes place in the woods. Early on, there's like a big swamp. And you're just it's fixed camera angles. You come in this side, you go through the area, you go out that side, it loads the next area, and you just look out and away, and it gets like PS1 to 2 foggy real quick out in the distance. But there's like the shadows of trees and shit. But there's something very close in and cozy and almost like theme park ride scenery feeling about it.
Yeah.
Where like, yes, this doesn't have high fidelity. It doesn't look realistic, but it's very present.
Yeah.
So you're in the experience of it.
Yeah, that is the cool thing where it's like realism isn't even the fucking goal because everything looks really cool in VR. Mm-hmm. So it's really good when you get these almost diorama-like looks to things.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah. You get to build your own train set.
Dude, someone has to have made that game, right?
You'd think.
You would think.
If I had one complaint about it, Until You Fall, the movement speed on the left stick is like too slow. Also, they're like, you need to turn on vignetting. You're going to get motion sick. And I'm like, I'm built different.
I need you to understand. Like, can I like go to Sony and like sign a form so I can put it in its system level?
Where is the system level preference of like, what do you want your VR at? Balls deep, please. Thank you. Thank you very much.
But not Smooth Turn. That's too much for any man.
Smooth Turn, I don't even understand. Like, who is this aiding, like, at any level? Because I turned it on, and it doesn't make me feel horrible. It just looks bad. Like, I would rather already be looking at the new area. I don't know. I don't get it.
Like, I need the opposite of accessibility features for my VR games.
Yeah.
I need features for unaccessibility. I need them to push that envelope.
Yeah.
Get the Assassin's Creed jacket that hurts you when you get it.
Oh, God.
Aggro's getting tased while playing Moss.
I just got a jacket made of bear traps that are set inward.
Why did that dagger feel like a bear trap?
I will say I am, because most of the games I've been playing in VR are, about moving the controller and using the triggers.
Yeah.
I am reaching the limit of what my giant, meaty dinner plate hands can do on the sticks inside of those controller rings.
Oh, really?
Because, like, I am always touching the rings with both sides of my palm.
Yeah.
So every now and then, keeping on that stick gets a little tough for me.
That's interesting. I hadn't considered
because of
that.
the enormous width of that thing that I'm working with.
Yeah, that thing that you're right. Meat hooks, I believe.
Yeah, I have to wonder then if the more open design of like the Quest 2 or the Quest 3 might be better for you.
Right. That's why I'm thinking if eventually we get the PSVR 2 running on PC, if you can use different controllers with it, or if maybe there's going to be another pass on
you
those
feel like
controllers.
someone out there would just make the 3D controller, like for PC.
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
it's basically.
I keep
Basically, the
waiting
tech
for
they-
somebody to come out with a tweet and be like, "So I just hacked off part of the PSVR 2 controller and it still works."
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to
That
wonder
should
which
be
parts are necessary because there's no way all of that is.
I mean, like,
It's a ring of lights,
Yeah.
so it's tracking the full ring to let it know exactly how much you're moving, and it's doing inside-out tracking. So if you cut off part of it, you would have to make sure that was a part with no lights.
And no circuitry.
And you would have to wire the electricity around to the other side again. Aggro's like, this is
need a
great.
glove with like spokes with lights on the end.
I mean, yes, ideally that's what the solution would be, but it's just
I love
hands.
the power glove.
I love the. It's so bad. By the way, I finally got those lenses,
Yes,
the ones you've been enjoying for like
the
a
Hans
month
VR.
or
It's-
whatever.
It's good.
It is good. It was weird. It's like it's very bizarre because you would think putting on a headset like the PSVR 2 is its own like encumbering nightmare, like cluster, like just But weirdly, it's kind of nice to not have glasses on.
Mm-hmm.
Because I spend all the fucking time with glasses on. So when I put that with the lenses on, I'm like, weird, this is arguably more comfortable than my normal situation. That's bizarre. And then I put it on the Quest 2, and that's just not true of it.
Mm-hmm.
The Quest 2, it has a really tight hinge on it. So there's no way to nail it. You will either get an inordinate amount of pressure on your cheekbones or on your forehead. And there's no perfect situation. You're just choosing which of those to feel like someone's trying to punch slowly through your head.
Yeah, I wore that thing for 10 minutes and I had the red ring worse than I had like any amount of using the PSVR 2 or 1.
Because it is just strapped to your head and putting that much force directly to it, which is not how the PSVR 1 or 2 works. However, I do find it tolerable, which is not how I'd describe it before getting those lenses. I would not.
Yeah.
Because it rips off my glasses every time I take it off. Fitting the glasses in there means not only is that situation I just described happening, it is also crushing my nose with my own glasses. Yeah, it made that situation a lot better. So now, do not worry, listener. I will not go down the path of every VR chat meme of I have now bought full body tracking for $1,300 because I wanted a comfortable headset. I think I could just wait it out till the PSVR 2 gets hacked for PC and then go, there we go. Now I can wear the comfy thing.
That'll do it.
But yeah, I've been really excited to play Moss ever since I got it for free with PSVR 1 and then didn't play it. Do you know if there's a next gen? Well, if there was, I should have already gotten it. Yeah, I feel like they charged for it because they actually said they did a lot of work to get it working on PSVR 2. But
an upgrade path.
yeah, an upgrade path. Yeah, I feel like they just went, nah, buy it again.
Yeah, because I've seen like the side by sides, like, oh, you remade this game mostly.
Yeah. As it turns out, there's a massive chasm of visual fidelity and quality difference between PSVR 1 and 2. Man. Maybe when I beat Until You Fall, maybe then I'll switch over to Moss because there's only so much time we have before things start dropping.
Yeah, the drops start again.
We get what, 2 weeks, 3? Something like that, because of Armored Core 6 and Immortals of Avium.
Have fun with that.
Yeah, I'm sure you're gonna fucking play that game.
Dan does the solo spoiler cast.
Doing like an NPR voice the whole time.
Hello, my
Considering
name is
that,
Stan Video Games, and I'm legally required to tell you that I bought and completed Immortals of Avium.
Considering fucking Armored Core 6 is apparently like 50 hours long. I don't think anybody's gonna be playing fucking Immortals of Avium.
You don't think? Ah, jeez. That's unfortunate. Anyways.
In the perfect segue, I bought Moss because I've settled into a rhythm of playing Humanity.
Yes.
Which is I'll do a couple levels, run a level a couple of times trying to figure out how to get all the goldies. Slam the interest mode button and go. And 15 minutes later, figure out how to beat the level and then turn it back on. So I'm like, I should be playing something else during these interim periods.
Yeah, Humanity's really good though. Like from what I tried before, are you enjoying it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No, it's real good. I have yet to fully integrate its approach to puzzle design.
Yeah,
like I'm still trying to figure out because it's very Lemmings like you make the humans go in different directions and make them do things, and I'm still getting my head around how dastardly this game will be, because that's really what you need to set in a puzzle game. How fucked up and mean will they be, or is the thing I'm looking at the puzzle I think I'm looking at?
Right. Yeah, there's all sorts of other things with like gravity and how long jumps work and other things in the demo where I'm just like, I could not have imagined this solution because I did not understand you insane fuckers and how midair collisions would just not matter.
And there's a function in the game where like you go through and if you complete it, you can restart it clean or you can restart it with all of your commands still on the board.
Yes, which is brilliant.
That's wonderful. But my former gifted child ass keeps getting stressed out and angry that I didn't get all the goldies the first time. And then I have to restart the level now to do it right. I'm like, no, I'm good at puzzle games. I hate you.
His name was Dr. Agro, but he was not a doctor. This is the story of him insisting to a blind world that he was good at puzzle games. You have entered the Twilight Zone. When I played the demo for Humanity back in April, one of the first thoughts I had was, man, if I could get some lenses, this would, like, the VR way to play is the way. But I had discomfort from the glasses, so I'm really looking forward to getting to check that out. Also, someone clarified, and I'm realizing I'm entering a very weird space. I said on either one or two episodes of Big Think ago that Humanity was on PlayStation Plus. It was not. It was on PlayStation Plus. I am now so aware of what's on Plus. I'm unaware what's just normal Plus, and I think I have to switch back in order to assess what's on Plus again. I hate this. This is awful. I hate that they're branded as basically the same thing.
Yeah.
Xbox solved this problem by simply not giving you games anymore.
They give you 25 though. That's more. That's more than 2 if you don't do any math and don't think about it ever again. And don't realize that you're basically paying $10 a month for online because they keep ratcheting the price of that shit up and nobody seems to talk about it ever.
For some reason, we are just not putting every console owner on blast for charging us rent. For some reason, we're just not doing that, and we still haven't talked about that PlayStation 5 has no way to locally back up saves, so they're holding your save files hostage in the physical shell of your system unless you pay rent.
Well, Dan, they can't let you back up your fucking saves. Somebody might alter them on a PC. Think of the trophies, Dan. Think of the trophies. We had to have the system that mostly exists for fucking data mining. And so we have a reason to never let you do anything.
Yeah, it's so dumb.
We need to check the authenticity of trophies when we release games that literally just give you platinum on the PlayStation Network daily.
Yeah, the sanctity of trophies must be preserved. Please ignore Hot Dog Jump, which gets you a platinum within 8 minutes. I need to go play Humanity.
I still have not decided whether or not VR or on screen is the better way to play it.
Really?
Because like in VR, you've got an automatic spatial awareness of the level.
Yes.
But the controls are much better on screen.
Really?
Because like to move the level up and down in VR, like you're hitting triangle and square on the left controller. And there's no way to tilt your camera.
Oh yeah,
because up and down is zoom in. Yeah, you have to like get up and like lean over it.
Oh yeah, I did playing the demo. I had a couple moments. I think it was like 2 where I just went, I can't
quite. And then I would crane my head in there and turn it sideways and be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, like
Gotcha.
I need to play it standing, honestly. I think that's the way it was designed to be played. Because sitting, it's just a worse version of on screen.
Well, there you go. You do that, and then you can do what people have with standing desks and get a treadmill. It's on the ground. And then just walk on the treadmill while you're trying to play a puzzle game that's a seat.
That would probably make you vomit immediately.
Oh, you would just fall on your ass is what would happen. That is a level of VR gamer I'm not ready for.
Right.
Yeah, no, like it's like, we're going to set your play area. I'm like, yeah, game, I know how to stand in one spot. And 20 minutes later, you reach your hand out and you hit the grid and you're like, where the fuck am I?
Now, the funny thing is PlayStation, I don't think this happens with Quest. I could be wrong. They account for the momentum of your hand. So say, for instance, you're this far away from the wall. But if you have enough momentum going towards that wall, they'll let you know in advance, like, dude. Which is really funny because I would, I got to the point where I would roll out a sideways yoga mat. So I knew if I stepped forward too far or backward too far.
Nice.
It works really well. But I would set that really far forward so I wouldn't bug Bob. Good thing I avoid annoying Bob with VR shenanigans in his living room. I've succeeded. But I did that. And now I'm so far forward, they're like, you're going to punch your console that's on the ground, dude. Don't move forward. And I'm like, it's fucking fine. All that shit's on the ground. This is let me know to not step there. But yeah, there was Playing Humanity, which for people who don't know, to get the aesthetic vaguely down, the people are like very simplistic models moving by the hundreds through a path you set by setting directional arrows and other specific power-up sort of movement-related icons on the ground, and you're in a heavenly cloudscape. There's something about just being in that space that is really great.
Yeah.
So that's why I like the VR, even though you were totally right, and there's just like, if I were playing on the TV, I could angle. Instead, in VR, I have to...
Which I think I mentioned it last week. I started playing it and didn't launch it in VR mode the first time, even though I had the headset on.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, maybe it'll eventually transition. I don't know. So I'm playing the first level, and it's like hit square and hit a direction on the left stick to drop a command, which you can't do with one hand.
No.
I did the first level like this.
That is weird. I never thought it would let you... Because for people who haven't seen it, you should be able to, on a normal controller, have access to 4 face buttons with your right hand and then the stick of the D-pad on your left. There's no D-pad on the Sense controllers. And 2 of the face buttons are on the left hand. So PlayStation will not let you boot games like Theatrhythm with the Sense controllers. You have to go pick up a DualSense.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, like, you figured it would sense for that, but... This is a really weird use case where I'm an idiot, so I wouldn't expect them to have made a check for that.
Right. I did that for a bit with the demo too, and I'm like, this can't be right. Like, they can't be like, this is VR and it sits in a square in front of you. That doesn't make sense. Did you have anything else you wanted to say about?
No, not about that. So moving on from that.
Okay.
I got to play like an hour or so of Bolt Gun finally.
Oh, cool.
Yes. I downloaded this game on a controller. I'm ready to be called a heretic for not playing the boomer shooter on a mouse and keyboard.
I was wondering, does this have VR support?
No, God, I wish.
The opening of Big Think is now mandatory 15-minute VR segment. How many are we at, by the way? Go ahead, Aggro. Half an hour.
So like I said, I've only played a little bit of this game, but holy shit, they nailed the movement and the weight of walking around in giant Adeptus armor. There's something really satisfying about the slow automatic rate of fire of the bolt gun. Like do.
Yeah.
Like the moving, the fact that your charge move will just knock enemies 20 feet back and off a cliff.
Yes.
You rev the chainsword, time stops, and it highlights any enemy in range in red, and you just lunge at them to chainsword them. So you are incredibly mobile, boomer shooter style, but you also feel incredibly heavy because you're a giant space marine. The mixture of those at the same time is fucking awesome.
That sounds so good.
It is. It's also so gleefully a Doom clone.
Yeah.
Like the
Hell yeah, it is.
like I'm fighting cultists, and then I'm fighting Chaos Space Marines, and then pink horror and blue horror come out. I'm like, that's just a pinky.
If it ain't broke.
Yeah, no, this game has caught the vibe. It's so beautiful.
The power system in that game is really interesting.
Yeah.
Where enemies have a power ranking and so do weapons. And if the weapon isn't at least at the power ranking of that enemy, it will do less damage. So your shotgun is only a power ranking 3, so it will tear ass through normal cultists and low-level demons, but then you run into like a Chaos Space Marine and he's power ranking level 5. So the shotgun isn't going to be as effective. You need to switch to something that's more like, this is a gun for killing a big guy.
Mm-hmm. Which
that's
could
really
be a more
interesting.
powerful weapon, or if you found the power up for your base bolter by finding a secret area in the level, it could now be strength 5.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's the good shit. That's kind of like, not to sound weird, that's kind of like what I would hope the secrets in Doom and whatnot would unlock, like permanent awesome upgrades to weapons.
Mm-hmm. Like those are per level.
Okay, so the moment the level ends, it just drops
Yeah.
out. Okay,
It's like it limbs it in green light until the level ends. It's beautiful. Better than that though was the deep magazine for the bolter. It just takes like a belt fed looking box mag and appends it to the side of it. So now you got like 100-something bullets that'll fly a lot faster, and you don't have to reload until that thing's out.
sounds dope.
Yeah, this is they have hit that power fantasy sweet spot where if you fuck up, this game will kill you. But until you fuck up, you're an unstoppable god.
That is a good balance. That feels like the Doom Eternal balance, where it's just like you're tearing ass or your ass is torn. One of these two will happen very quickly. Did you have anything else you wanted to say about it?
Nope.
Okay. So people who saw last Friday's stream saw we did Super Mario RPG on the Super Nintendo. And Spaceman Spiff, one of our longtime viewers and mods, came down to co-host that stream. Did you know Super Mario RPG is really cool?
No way.
Yeah.
Nobody knew that.
And now it's true.
I mean, people tell me that, but honestly, they're the kind of people where it's like,
Yeah. They're like Mega Man 2 is the best Mega Man. Super Mario RPG is good.
Geno fans.
Oh, what's the problem with Geno? What are you trying to say? Geno's great.
That's what they tell me.
Look, it's a Mario game, and then a little wooden dude has a laser gun arm. What do you
It's
want?
pretty
What more
good.
do you want?
He also like calls down like star rainbow orbital lasers from the sky, which is pretty great. That remake sure is gonna be fucking stellar. That's gonna be great. I don't have a whole lot to say about it though, because what hasn't been said about Super Mario RPG, but I will say that soundtrack is full of bangers. Yoko was on some shit when she made that. Yeah. Absolutely hilarious game, even still. Like, there are constant, like, vaudevillian gags going off of, like, well, Mario can't speak, so he has to convey everything through him transforming into Bowser and making Bowser sounds and jumping up and down rapidly and walking on midair and then falling.
Yeah, it's still one of the funniest RPGs I've played. It's crazy. It all holds up pretty well too.
Yeah. Like, you give me item descriptions that actually match what the item does, and a few other small quality of life things, and you could have released this now, and oh, hey, they are, as it turns out.
No matter how long it goes, the joke of, oh man, are you really Mario? Can you prove it? And then you hit the jump button to jump.
Yeah.
Golden. Every time.
It's because, like, so many times it's two guys.
Yeah.
They're like, dude, this is Mario. And they're like, that ain't Mario. That guy's mustache looks like shit. And then they look at you. And then they wait. And then you do a jump and they're like, holy crap, it is him. He's way uglier in person. Incredible game. I am so excited for that remake. That is unreal that that's happening.
Yeah.
after looking at the original, it's just jarring to see the remake Mario animate smoothly and not like his legs snapping back and forth as he runs around.
Yes. Yeah, you really expect the weird toy soldier march energy. Man, that remake's gonna.
I still think it's gonna be crazy to see outside of
Right.
because that levels have really clear cutoffs and they're just floating in space and they aren't. In the remake.
Because they didn't have the assets to make an end to the level, like have unique assets to end the edge of the maps with. It's kind of like Final Fantasy Tactics does the same thing,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, so it's one of those situations where the background's blue or black or red, and in the new one, they have backgrounds, and Bob's like, oh, imagine the map, but then something at the edge and behind it.
That while you guys were talking about looking around humanity, I was thinking how cool it would be to see a Tactics remake where you can look around that like a diorama.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god!
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I would fucking lose my mind if Final Fantasy Tactics Remaster was like VR mode. I would just fall apart at the seams. Oh yeah. That'd be so good. But Bob, did you have anything else you want to say other than Super Mario RPG is great? It's really great. It's
right.
great.
It's hard to think about these things to say. Just man, they sure did nail like everything. That's the best characterization of Bowser we've ever got, and they kind of just stuck with this ends.
Yeah, it's true. Especially in the RPGs.
Yeah, I was thinking how Odyssey also really goes for that same level of just he's just a dude.
Kind of sucks, actually.
He's really pathetic.
Yeah,
but you all pretend he's not.
You probably can't even count the number of jobs he's been fired from on one hand.
Like, Bowser should just be Bluto. Should be the model for Bowser.
No, it's true. It is absolutely true.
And I do like at the end of Odyssey how they dip into a little bit as like, Peach isn't really that fucking hot on Mario either. She kind of wishes both these guys would just stop. She's like, can I do anything without you two fucking going at it?
Yeah. I really like that part of that too. It's real good. But I invited a demon into Bob's home by letting Spiff come down. Because I ended up buying the $75 edition of fucking Final Fantasy Theatra, the final bar. He brought the game and his Switch all the way down to subject me to it. I'm like, oh no, it's so many good Final Fantasy songs. Oh no.
Yeah, it is. It's really good.
It is so good. It is a delightful game. I have a PSA for anyone who's looking at gameplay of Theatrhythm and going, that doesn't make fucking sense. It doesn't. They literally designed this UI to confuse you. It does not need 4 lines to convey what it wants to convey. It is literally a UI that is designed to confuse you.
I forget if it made more sense on the DS or the 3DS.
3DS.
That's where it was originally.
Possibly.
And I think it used the fucking stylus originally. So I think this might be. Yeah, we can't change the way the game looks. Yes, you can, but they seem to have labored under the delusion they can't do that. So we have to keep the format the same, but everything has to be different.
Well, the weird thing is, I bet it made sense for the travel levels.
Yeah, the travel levels absolutely made sense.
Because you use the stylus to follow those curves on the 3DS, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that makes sense. I don't have the impression that the normal levels, which are combat, use the stylus, right?
I think he could use the stylus on those as well, but I'm trying to think because the 3DS only has 1 point of touch it can register, so you can't do like 2 touches at the same time.
So are you doing a stick in that?
Yeah, I think that you were doing the left L button and the touching the screen, but I can't remember. It's been like way too long.
And it's on the 3DS, so I'm certainly not going to go check.
All right, yeah. I mean, me neither. I could look up YouTube videos, though. I'm seeing someone say the bottom screen was just a background. That seems insane.
I don't think that's right.
Yeah, I genuinely don't believe that could be the case. But, yo, did you know Final Fantasy games have some really good music? Like, really good music?
Crazy.
It's true. And this game has a hell of a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what probably was the straw that broke the camel's back? the final straw. It had Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, and I was like, oh god, as a Mystic.
Yeah, this one has fucking everything.
I grew up with Mystic Quest, and every fucking conversation I ever had with someone was just like, oh, that's the dumb one for Americans, and it's bad. And I'm like, it has like one of the best soundtracks. Why are you so mean? And the main character's name is Benjamin. So anyway, that's awesome. That game is so much good music, and it has some really interesting mechanics. You level up your characters, they get spells and abilities. You get to set them up specifically what they're gonna do. Edge is in the game, and he has like a lot of evasion shit. So if you're really bad at the game, you could just set him up to keep rolling to dodge attacks. It's really good. Edge. 4?
Okay.
The ninja from 4.
Okay, I couldn't bring him off the top of my head, so my brain immediately filled in like Edge from the WWE, like Edge and Christian. It was like, wow, man, I missed the back half of 12, I guess.
He's the bad character from 4 because he doesn't have a fucking niche. So he's just like, I can kind of do magic and I can throw things. I don't do as much physical damage as anyone else, and I don't have support spells. They kind of just needed a 5th person.
Man, every ninja in a Final Fantasy, all the way through 6, even 9, they all just feel like uncooked. Like, they have the throw ability. We don't know what else to do.
Amaran in 9, like, literally had his entire story removed from the game in development. So he's literally just
Jesus.
like, I'm here now, and then that's it.
Yeah, Shadow has a ninja dog, though.
Yeah, Shadow's really cool.
He's so cool.
So bad at night because he's like, would you like to throw all of your old equipment that you could be synthing into better equipment?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've already had it on good authority that you need one of the starter weapons in the game all the way at the end to get something really.
I win!
Anyway. Now I'm thinking, like, Yuffie's cool.
Yuffie is cool.
Yeah, because 7 has that thing where every character has a pretty just highly customizable base that's really cool with the materia system, and then the only thing that defines them is their limit break. So of course they just gave her good limit break, so she's fine.
And their victory animations. That is a very important thing to consider when you choose your
Riku's
team.
technically a ninja character in 10, and she's cool. She has the limit break where she mixes your items together and makes wacky shit. Like, she can make the potion of 9999 that makes a character always hit for that much damage for a while.
Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty great.
Yeah.
The cool thing about Theatrhythm is that you begin a combat thing, and when that happens, your party of like tiny chibi versions of the characters, which you can mix and match your characters from every Final Fantasy, which is great because of course I have 2 Lightnings, Benjamin. The really great team going on there. Anyways, they had to take the assets from Final Fantasy Mystic Quest and make a 3D environment from it. And I laughed so hard immediately as I'm like, yeah, that is that shitty looking purple mountain from the intro of the game in the background. Oh, man. Yeah, it feels so good. It warms my heart to just have all these really great songs and really great, like, cute things going on constantly. I wish there was a PS5 native version. I would like it in a higher res. I would like it loading instantly because it takes a few seconds to load, and I can't help but sit there and think about, like, if this was a PS5 native, it would take less than 2. Mm-hmm. It would literally take 1.5 seconds every time. But it's not a problem on PS5. Yeah, it's been a really fun time. I really shouldn't have bought, even though it was on sale, the $75 edition with the fucking season pass and all these DLCs and stuff.
I did, though. I was stupid. It's like, oh, I'm gonna get it anyway.
Yeah, there's a lot of good music, but it's huge price tag.
But the Secret Amana games are over there.
I know, right?
They had Trials of Mana too, and they had things I wanted. And
they had a bunch of Nier music in there as well.
That's true.
Like,
and I was just like, oh man, I've got. It's rough, but that game's super enjoyable. I just mostly regret that I have yet again bought a video game. Financially, this cannot continue. But yeah, Theatrhythm's great. I highly recommend it. First time I played that game, I felt genuinely disabled in a way that I'm unused to in a rhythm game. I'm used to being able to grapple what a rhythm game wants from me pretty fast. But I felt mentally, physically incapable on my first play session because it has such a very, truly bizarre requirement of inputs of like, oh no, the left stick and the right stick can both do directions, but you need to hit the face button on the beat, and these things need to be held for this long. And I'm like, and you, on top of this, you made the UI insane just to confuse me. It wasn't enough to require these things of me. You needed to literally have 4 lanes so you can shove this shit at random in these lanes, which has no meaning.
I need to try that simplified mode because there's some mode where it takes it down to like 1 lane. I want to know what that does. If that makes it so easy, it's not even fun, or if it's kind of cool.
There's multiple simple modes. There's like the normal, and then there's a mode where it's like you only have to hit one thing ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there's an even more simple mode than that.
And they make it easy to switch between the two. You just go to the level you want to play in the adventure mode and hit triangle on the switches.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. I haven't checked that out yet. But yeah, day one, I'm struggling to pass like 6 difficulty songs and 7. And day 2, like literally the second time I played it, I'm successfully passing some 10s. Really cool game, really enjoyable. It reminded me, this is the most contented I have been with a Final Fantasy product since Dissidia Duodecim. So there you go. Keep making things like this, thank you. I like leveling up and seeing cool and cute summons. I like having characters and music from the games I recognize and love. Great time. Thumbs up. Stop making the UI intentionally obtuse, though. Hey, Bob.
Hey, what's up?
Did you play video games?
I did, in fact, play some video games.
Really? Okay. What's up with that?
You know, the usual.
What's up with these video games?
Dead Cells released their PS5 version a little while ago, so I downloaded that. I already had the PS4 version, so I was like, sure, I'll try this out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still not really that into it. Like,
okay.
I feel like I am never in the mood to play a roguelike. Like, that's where I'm coming to terms with. It's like, no, it doesn't do anything for my brain. It's like you just made it worse.
Well, it is literally a budget constraint derived mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody ever set out to make a roguelike. They set out to make this cool game, which will be a roguelike now because content hard.
Right.
I mean, maybe initially, but at this point, I'm sure people do set out to make roguelikes.
I bet even the first fucking roguelike was like, I don't want to make 1,000 castle mazes. I bet Rogue is literally some guy sitting down and going, I don't want to make 100 mazes. Fuck that.
Is Rogue even procedurally generated?
I'm pretty sure.
I think Rogue might just be one of those things like, no, it's just brutally difficult and has permadeath.
Oh, I figured it was procedurally generated because every roguelike from that era.
I don't fucking know, but
I think
maybe
it's procedural.
Yeah. Anyways, Bob, continue talking about this game you don't like.
I still think that has lots of cool mechanics and stuff. Like, you can actually get lots of different weapons that have different move sets, and the dodge feels pretty decent.
Mm-hmm.
Jumping feels weirdly weighty, which is sometimes fun, but other times is platforming heavy and not great. The first boss is the farthest I've made it in this game at all. It just because he's really weird. Like, it feels like there's no way to stop him from doing his attacks, and he kind of moves his body in such a broad way that's hard to understand what he's doing. Mm-hmm. So I usually get there and then just get destroyed by him, and I'm like, I took out like half his health, but I feel like I was just guessing. So I've never made it past that in this game, and I don't think I'll do it this time either.
Okay.
But they added I can play as Santa Claus now.
Ooh.
Someone in chat was bringing up you can't transfer your save, which, I didn't see a way to transfer. I was like, maybe I just never played the PS4 version, but I'm guessing I did play it, and it just didn't transfer my save. It doesn't do that.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to throw this question here because I had this question. We both couldn't figure it out for sure. Guys, wasn't Dead Cells originally locked 30 frames per second either on PS4 or PC in general? I could have sworn that was the case, and that's part of why I looked at the game and said, nah, because I'm not an action game at that. No, I'm good.
Yeah.
But this is 60.
Yeah.
It looks nice and fluid. It's kind of pleasant to look at.
Yeah, no, it's a nice looking game. I think the art style's really achieved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was trying it because I wanted to get the Castlevania thing because like it's Castlevania. It'd be cool to see that in the Czar style. But where I'm not really enjoying the regular game, I feel like I wouldn't enjoy the Castlevania expansion either.
Maybe
that will have a whole new set of bosses. Maybe those bosses are more fun than the first boss here.
they're probably based on Castlevania bosses, so at least there will be some neurons firing in your brain of like, oh, this is Galamoth.
Right.
Everyone loves him.
This is that weird lobster thing from Portrait of Ruin.
I also played more Final Fantasy 12. That you need to be able to customize the gambits more. The gambit is the system where you can set up your party to auto do stuff, attack, steal, heal, whatever. The thing is, it's a programming system where you don't have if-then statements. You don't have anything more complicated than the enemy has full health, do a thing. Your ally is at 50% health, do a thing. You can't be like, oh, there are two allies at low health, so now you use the cure all button or spell. There's nothing like that complex. It's just, well, I guess I'll set it up so that if this one guy is at half health, you heal everybody, because there's a good chance other ones have been hit too. You want to be stealing a lot in this game because the only way to get money in Final Fantasy 12 is selling stuff. Like, you get tiny skill drops, but they're very small.
Weird.
Basically everything is from selling this stuff. So if you steal, you have way more to sell. But there's not a good way to set it up so that the character will just steal and then start attacking. I have it set up so that they will steal if the enemy's 100% health, but then if there are two enemies, they steal from one, then other characters attack that one, so he's no longer at full health, and then they go steal from the second enemy, and it's like, no. You can do that when this one's dead.
Yeah.
Because now it is a danger.
Well, no, but there's a 100% health enemy over there.
Right?
Like, I really need to go back and play Dragon Age 1 again, because if I'm going to have to keep going, that game had the best NPC behavior programming system ever. I'm going to need to double check it.
Yeah, you want to check the facts on that.
Yeah, the way I played Dragon Age Origins the last time was just, I picked a mage and put it on easy, and I blew things up.
That being said, I'm still kind of enjoying it. I really like how much time I can just spend in the menus in this game. Like, there's a ton of just, okay, I need to figure out what makes sense to do on this license board. Which there are parts of the license board I really don't like, of having it lock every single weapon under there, and you need to find the space to unlock in the license board so they can actually use the weapon or armor. But other things I do like are just, oh, they distribute stats in this end of the board. They've distributed skills down here, and you need to kind of explore it. And I always feel like, oh, I could, if I had just a few more points, I could unlock this, which is a good feeling to have in an RPG. You want to be like looping back into that RPG mechanic of leveling up your character in interesting ways and making them different from the other characters. Something that even the original 12 didn't have, because that's all just, everyone has the same generic board. And this, you have job classes that have totally different boards.
Yeah, this is a really different creature from the original 12. For example, you're playing it in Benny Hill mode.
Yes, I have to play at 2 times speeds because it's basically unplayable at regular speeds.
That's okay. Weren't you also reading at the same time as playing it, or was that just for the breaks? I saw both pulled up, and I'm like, is the combat in this so slow that this man's like, time to read?
No, it was just for breaks.
Okay,
it wasn't. Minus 2 times speed is actually very doable. Like this, which I think I found the area that made me quit on the PS2. There's this forest you get to where it'll spawn these little pumpkin enemies, like tiny little dudes. You attack them, and then they run off. And your characters just have to chase them back to they run all the way to the entrance to the area. It's awful. And now that I'm at 2 times speed, I was like, I can deal with this. I can chase after them, and it's not like a huge nuisance.
Yeah.
But regular speed, what a nightmare.
Yeah.
My.
Ring Fit did something screwed up. The treasure chest ran away, and they're like, sprint really fast for a really long time to catch up. And I'm like, you're a monster. This is Leg World.
But that's it for 12.
Okay, well, real quick, I was
What's
going to
up?
say, after you finish 12, whether that's beating it or just moving on, are you going to try Carnage Heart on the PS1 and be like, I'm glad the AI programming here is so top notch?
Is that a mech game?
That's the weird mech strategy game where you get an array of like AI things and chips that point the logic one way or the other and have conditions and stuff. The demo disc I had growing up was just like Carnage Heart, the smartest video game ever made. And I'm like, oh, I wish I was smart enough to play that game.
That sounds neat. What's
God,
up,
that's
Chris?
that's a fucking art dink game.
Yeah.
So it was made by
PS1.
the same people who made fucking No One Can Stop Mr. Domino and other bullshit.
And other bullshit.
Man, I really would just love to have a more complex system for 12, but
Yeah.
you can't remake it again. That's stupid. Like,
So the community's going to have to do it. They're going to have to be like, we worked in C# support, right? I was like,
let me get an array in here for how this works.
if they did that, if they actually went, we hacked the game enough to put in C# support, I would be like, this went from like a lower tier Final Fantasy to the best one.
No, but you really need to differentiate between classes and characters. So this one is C#, this one's in Cobalt. You got
No!
Python on the healers.
No! Jesus Christ! That's like
Man, the
Nightmare
Cobalt
Ring
one would
Fit.
be really useful because you figure that shit out and then you can get a job where nobody can ever fire you because they don't understand what you do.
Good Lord. No.
What was it? Well, I forget how it was described to me by some engineer who actually knew COBOL. He's like, you learn COBOL, and only 3 people in the world also know COBOL, and none of them have the power to fire you.
Yeah, that is straight up the idea of wizards.
That'd be pretty sick.
It would be pretty sick. Too bad that's never happening. Like incorporating that into 12 anyway.
Right.
Are you working? Can you prove that I'm not?
What are you gonna do? Come over here and do it yourself? Yeah, I don't think so.
No.
Come on, man. Did you play anything else? Ben?
I did. I played a good bit of River City Girls 2. The game which is finally...
I'm leaving. I don't want to be this mad on content about a game I didn't buy or play.
So the PS5 version now runs smoothly like it should at 60 frames per second. Unfortunately, the input lag is massive.
What?
Like,
How?
it's literally hit the button, wait a second, and then the punch comes. It's
Well, yeah, you demanded all those extra frames. What did you think was going to happen?
the PS4 version is okay. It doesn't have this problem. How is it this?
insane.
How is it this bad, WaveForward? What is happening over there? But yeah, it's basically unplayable on the PS5 still, just in a new way.
Awesome.
You can't download the PS4 version?
You can. That's what I'm doing. I'm playing the
Okay.
PS4 version, but the
Okay.
PS5
So-
version is basically unplayable.
Well, they're the same basically, right? Because that's not a heavy graphics intensive game.
Right. Yeah, it's totally like playable in this version. It's just super frustrating that they even have
Insane.
this version that doesn't work. So now I put a good bit of time into it. Really great art. Ego Raptor's still the worst voice actor in the industry. We shouldn't even call him that. It's not allowed. He shouldn't be allowed to
Yeah,
voice act in
he-
these.
He sure
Ego
doesn't
Raptor.
cook for shit whenever he shows up in a game.
Yeah, because he's still Jimmy Lee. Yeah, I can't believe they even kept him. It's rough.
There
but
should
he's
be like, are you going to hire a YouTuber? It's like a flow chart. Is it Pro ZD? Yes. Go ahead. No. Stop.
but yeah, he's just a shopkeep. It's not a big deal. The game feels a lot like the first game, other than the input lag problems on PS5. Which is weird because I feel like that the game doesn't feel good until you're level 8 or so. Like the first 7 levels, you don't have enough moves in your combo to feel like your character's even moving right. Like there's a huge amount of like delay after you do your combo, and everything just feels like really slow. You get locked in enemies combos pretty easily, and you can't really do aerial stuff at all until level 8. So it just feels rough until you're doing that, which is several hours in. It takes you to level up like this. What I wish they'd smooth that out, because like I said, I think this game looks great, has really stellar voice acting other than Ego Raptor, and is a good script. They do a bizarre thing I would never have guessed, though. They added in more playable characters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Instead of integrating them properly into the story, if you swap them out, the new character, like their voice actor and everything, will read the script for one of the main characters who was already in the game.
That's bizarre.
That's potentially hilarious.
Right? But they don't like give you any heads up that this is how it's going to play out. So it's happening. I'm just like, this isn't right. That doesn't make any sense for this character to say that. She is now referring to herself in the third person.
She's disassociating. This is what you get for trying to transmute a human soul.
I'm reminded of running Metal Gear Solid 2 cutscenes.
Yes.
Swapping characters in and out.
The fucking president running up the Metal Gear.
Yeah, it's so bizarre, because I feel like I'm missing out on like the main two characters, Kyoko and I can't remember the other character's name.
Misako.
I think their voice actors play off each other really well, and I feel like I'm kind of like losing something by not having them together. Mm-hmm. Even though this new thing they've done is funny. It even shows in some jokes, like one of the characters like asks what this person looks like, and if you're playing as them, they're just like, they look exactly like me. So this is one of those things where it'd be great to play this the second time through, but I feel like I'm just missing out playing it first time through like this.
Yeah.
You can even play as the main character's boyfriends, Ricky and Kunio.
Yeah, I was like, I feel stupid saying this, but it is Kunio of the Kunio-kun name, right?
Right. And they will swap out for those lines as well, and it's really weird.
That's great.
Hey, Bob.
What's up?
If I wanted to play a beat 'em up with 8 frames of lag, which it's way more than that, by the way,
probably, yeah.
I would be playing Double Dragon on the Super Nintendo, which you might note I'm not. Okay, I'm done. It was so bad. I'm over here, and he hits the button, and I see later. It did the Final Fantasy 16 sometime later crossfade, and then he jumped. Anyway, I'm done.
Yeah, that PS5 version's unacceptable. I don't know what's up. Oh yeah, the PS4 version did crash on me too.
Like, how did Unity fuck up all these fucking indie games?
I have no idea.
I think I should point. Now I have to check.
Like,
I don't think Freedom Planet 2 actually shipped on consoles like they said they were gonna.
No, I think it got pushed back because it was supposed to happen around now or in a month or two.
Early in the year, I think it was when it was supposed to happen.
I thought it was exactly a year later. Okay. But yeah, everyone should just, if you're making a game in Unity, you better have someone who understands Unity and can fix the fucking engine.
Yeah, was the first River City Girls on Unity?
No, this whole transition, as far as I know, to Unity came after that game. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the first one's fine, and this one's just fucked for some reason.
Yeah, because it seems crazy that there's just problems like this the first didn't have.
Okay, Galaxy Trail posted a month ago. They are currently aiming for December.
Yeah.
On the console versions of Freedom Planet.
Yeah, I saw that update, and then someone said, hey, did they ever actually fix the frame rate camera problem? And then I said, no, that was me accidentally fixing it on my side. As far as I know, they never fucking fixed it for some reason. Anyway, we have people saying Unity is what WayForward's always used. So, like, obviously not since the Game Boy Color, but since then, River City Girls 1 is fine because Unity broke the camera thing in a later update. Yeah, but this isn't even that. It's the whole game's running at 30.
Right, like that's how the original launch was, and now it's
got an insane amount of input lag that's
I'm done. That sentence is done.
Yeah.
I'm not. It was like the bat signal for a button to pixel video went up in the fucking sky. That's what it felt like from sitting on this side of the room. And I'm like, they can't keep doing this. Ship the game in an acceptable state.
Yeah,
Apparently that's also how it is. Apparently that's also how it is on Xbox, because I went and poked around during this and I see Xbox people being like, why does it take so long when I hit the fucking button?
Yeah, this thing is literally worse than, if memory serves me correct, this is worse than the first Mega Man Legacy Collection. Like, substantially worse. So anyone who thought that was an outrage, man, do not get that version of that game.
They also still have holdover problems from the first game. Like, why is the attack button the button I hold to enter a room? Like, transition the screen. It doesn't make any sense. There's all these other buttons on the controller. I don't want to
Even shoulders.
Yeah, there's shoulders. There's all sorts of things.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make any sense to be like, oh, well, hold the button here.
Oh, it's a hold to enter the room?
Yeah.
Okay, so it wouldn't accidentally happen when you attack an enemy, or?
Unless you're doing, like, matching it a lot. But yeah, it still just feels weird and wrong. Like, if you're near the edge of the screen, it's very easy to accidentally do that.
Yeah.
To go back and forth.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this game is so many years later. It should feel like an upgrade over the first game instead of just kind of the first game with some added problems. And
right. Yeah.
It's been a long time since I played that, so I don't remember if the mission structure is like this or not. But a lot of the missions are go through the stage. Okay, a guy at the end of the stage will then tell you about the 5 things you need to go back into that stage and get. Which it's not actually stages, it's just different screens, but they respawn enemies every time you go transition the screen. So it's like, okay, walk all the way to the end of this town, walk backwards and collect 3 different things in these 3 areas. And it's like, not that fun.
I'm never playing this game.
It's really unfortunate too, because it's like I said, the story is really charming. I wish, like, and the art's incredible. Like, I think this has some of the coolest looking pixel art in a game recently. Like, I think they do a great job with that.
Yeah, I really like WayForward as a company. I would really like this release to be good before the turn of the next century. Because this has just been a fucking circus.
Yeah. I also got into that Granblue Fantasy versus Rising beta. Like, the early access beta happened now, or today and yesterday, and then for everybody is tomorrow.
So you got into CBT in the last week. That's cool.
Don't say that.
Happy for you, man.
This game still looks really nice.
Yeah, it does.
There are parts where I wish it had slightly higher resolution, because there'll be super fine details like on a sword hilt, and you can see the jaggies a little bit. But other than that, it does look really good still. They have added a few new mechanics. Like, now you have EX moves, so you can do like a charged up version of any of your regular moves.
I think you had EX versions in the original. Like,
yeah, I think so.
Just put the move on a super long cooldown.
Yeah, I think he's right. Yeah.
I didn't remember that. There's also a new move where you like hit triangle and circle at the same time, and they do like this fancy, like, super heavy hit that can be followed up on. And that also uses meter. A weird thing about this game is it has 1 meter, and like super moves, EX moves, and that new move all draws from that 1 meter.
Yeah.
So you feel kind of restrained with how much you can use it, because it burns it like so quickly. Like, it takes half a meter to do an EX move and a full meter to do the super move. And after coming from Street Fighter, where you have like the 2 meters and you can just do cool stuff all the time, it is a little frustrating.
Yeah, Street Fighter for a while has been on that train where it's like, we have to have multiple meters. You need to be able to do a super. Like, that's what 5 had. 5 had the secondary super meter that was different, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it had V trigger and then your normal meter.
Yeah,
so
and 4 also had something
maybe it was
similar
4.
to that.
I remember one of them had, like, you had the normal super meter, and then you had one that only happened when you took damage, and you did nothing but do a different super.
Yeah, that was 4.
Okay.
Yeah, that was that one.
All right. Or Ultra. There we go.
Okay.
I figured I'd throw it in since you were pausing.
They also have the simplified controls like we talked about, like the old one did, where you can just hit R1 in
A direction.
and you'll do a special move.
And it even like puts the direction on the icon for the moves, so that way you can see the cooldown and the direction you need to hit.
Right.
Yeah.
And a big thing with this one is they've removed the difference between doing that and doing the input. You can still do the input like the Hadoken move or the Shoryuken move to do the move, but now it's identical to doing it this way.
Damage-wise and everything.
Damage-wise, retard speed-wise, everything. Which I think is really neat. It reminds me a lot more of that robot fighter from the
Rising Thunder?
Rising Thunder. Where I don't need to think about putting in moves. It is all just doing the specials like that.
It's almost like that's a cool thing for some fighting games to do. And all the people who didn't even play the game getting really mad yesterday that they changed how the moves work in this game were fucking annoying and dumb.
Yeah, every time I see this argument, I'm just like, guys, the changing of the input system to be that isn't so that way people who are bad at fighting games can be fully competitive with pros. It's so they can enjoy the game. It's like, we're not entertaining a world where a person who can't do these inputs is going to get platinum. Because I'm not doing that for me. You shouldn't do that for you or a hypothetical straw man. I don't it's mostly so people can just enjoy it at not a fully casual, but a more casual level.
Yeah, even people like, I can do all that shit. Maybe I want to play a game where I don't have to do all that shit. Or maybe the idea of these moves having a simple input and then a cooldown offers unique gameplay possibilities and mental interactions between the players that just having the inputs doesn't.
Yeah, I think it's really makes it feel more unique. And that's the thing. Like, obviously not all fighting games should do this, but I think Granblue is a really good candidate to do this.
Yeah.
Like, it's supposed to be a little bit more casual. It's trying to get in a broader audience. Yeah, it's so weird that people had such a negative reaction to it in a game that already had the system.
Yeah, if it took away their ability to do the normal inputs, I would totally understand.
Oh yeah,
that would be weird. But yeah, I'm really excited for this version. That looked gorgeous.
Yeah, no, this game looks really nice.
And as we've said before, and I'll say again, like the PS5 version, this new updated version should fix load time so the single player is playable.
Yeah, I noticed you get into matches really quick, like not the online ones because you still got to connect online, which is still pretty quick, faster than it was on the PS4 version.
Right.
But you can also do the training mode, and that does load really fast. Not as fast as I would like it to, but it is just like, here's the two characters it's playing as, now we're in. Like, it doesn't have another transition area screen to take even more time. Playing it, I kind of forgot that it had like the X button does a different kind of special for each character, kind of like BlazBlue.
Yeah.
And it kind of made me sad that
BlazBlue isn't getting this sort of treatment. Yeah. That's every time
dead forever.
Every time I look at Granblue, I think of my dead child, BlazBlue, in the corner of the room.
There's some kind of BlazBlue project announced recently, like some weird mobile, yet another bizarre mobile thing or something. I feel like we ran
if
up on
they
that
did it missed me entirely.
There was that weird Metroidvania thing that got announced a while ago from China.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
It's weird. Yeah, so it's neat. I wish it were BlazBlue.
Cool.
I get to try a new character. They add Siegfried, who is a dude in knight armor with a gigantic sword.
You don't say.
You don't say.
Yeah, blowing people's minds here. I can't get used to him because he's really slow. And during a beta like this, where you can basically only play against people online, I just get torn apart before I figure out how to use him.
Yeah, that sounds all right.
But he's got a cool design though.
Yeah, that's cool.
Another character they added that was like the last character they added to the previous version of this game, so I didn't play her before, is Vera, who I had a lot of fun with. She's like a weird, let me see, I wrote down a Sicko Ojo-sama character who's also a magical girl. So you have like the X button attack will grab the enemy, and then she shows them on the ground and hits them with a magic seal, and then she transforms. It's strange. And then she can do like Shoryuken backflips where she stands in midair and then bounce around. Like she almost gets when Bang Shishigami does his transformation, like dashes all over. Almost gets like that level of movement, which is very strange for a game like this where movement is way slowed down.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like how different some of the characters are like that, where a lot of them will have a weird movement system the other characters just don't have. So yeah, I'm excited for this to actually come out.
You got to say the full title again. That's
yes,
the rules of podcasting.
Granblue Fantasy versus Rising.
Golden. Did you play anything else?
I played.
I was gonna say, does it count?
I played Pokemon Sleep. I have things to say about it. Do you have anything to say about it, Dan?
Yeah, I should have deleted it this morning when I realized I'm never going to play it again because it is a bad video game.
Yeah, it is really frustrating in a lot of ways.
I just feel like it's wasting my fucking time. Like, there's nothing engaging about any of what I'm doing. It's just taking time out of my day I could better spend staring at a ceiling. It is boring. It is awful. They're like, hey, these Pokemon found you because you've done your 6th day of dozing type sleep in a row. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. I sleep the same? Do I need to sex this up for you, Pokemon Sleep? Anyway, they found these berries. Grab them, and then Snorlax will eat them, and he'll get stronger. But at the end of the week, he goes away, and a new Snorlax comes. I hate this game.
It does take way too long to do anything. Like, you wake up, you go through the like 2 screens of here's how you slap, which is fine. Yeah. But then there's minutes of click on the 4 Pokemon that showed up, read a giant description of how they slap.
Multiple screens, multiple slow transitions, locking down the controls.
Yeah.
Even when you're going to sleep, it has stuff like that. Like, watch the Snorlax get tucked in. I'm like, I am trying to sleep.
Yeah.
Why?
The weirdest part is they know that might be a thing because a third of the cutscene in, maybe even halfway, they finally pop up with a button in the upper right that says skip.
Right. It has a gigantic part you can't skip for some reason.
It's a fucking terrible game.
Other things that just frustrated me like crazy. I did not have a good week of sleep. The game basically just bullies me for it. It has nothing positive to say about that. It gives me no bonuses. It does nothing to give me positive reinforcement.
Yeah.
Nothing. It's just like, hey, you suck.
I mean, to be fair, you did sleep poorly.
There's no advice. There's nothing.
The game's like, I think it's a skill issue.
When you go to do that part where you can, I think it's called snack time, when you first wake up and all the Pokemon are there. You have to feed them to get them to actually join your party.
Yes.
You cannot buy extra cookies during this part.
No, you should have prepared by bringing extra cookies before you went to sleep.
Yes.
Which you bought with real money.
Yes. The Pokemon can just decide, I'm full.
What?
So you can get 4 cookies deep, and he's like, I don't want any more. I won't be your friend. And then he's just gone forever, and he wasted those cookies.
Bob, I think it did that to you because you didn't sleep well, because I have not had one Pokemon at any point do that.
What fucking SMT shit is this? The more we talk about Pokemon Sleep, the more I'm just like,
there's gonna be a Weedle, and it just starts playing the fucking theme, and it's like, pussy, pay me $1,000 or I'm leaving.
Nintendo, like, I'm starting to become a little worried about Nintendo. Like, in the span of 2 months, we've had 2 projects that should have just been canceled. That they pushed out the door.
This thing's awful. And I really did just, like, the moment I played it once, I'm like, this is literally if Ring Fit shamed me for not having enough stamina for people who can't sleep. What is wrong with them?
There's nothing here that's enjoyable. There's literally no core of it that's good.
But yeah, I don't think that them getting full is like a mechanic I'm hitting because I didn't sleep well. Literally, they sell better cookies for real money that fill them up faster so you don't run into this problem.
I got better cookies by sleeping well.
I get one every time I wake up. You get one.
I got one better one and the one standard one. Not every time, but
Okay, yeah, I've never seen it give me that. And I have had
Maybe
maybe
there's
one night of good sleep, and
Ma-
they didn't give me anything special.
you're like, it's my birthday. It's my birthday. I actually slept well. Come on, guys. And they're like, what? Shut up. Yeah, this is terrible. Horrible game. Literally the worst Pokemon game I've ever played.
It's unfortunate because I think the art's really nice. I like the way the Pokemon look in this game.
I would like it even more if I weren't being subjected to it slowly while my controls were locked down.
Yeah. Also, every morning, be like, click on the Pokemon, then click on all the junk they drop. Oh, we put the UI over it, so you have to zoom in, or else you can't click on their junk.
Yeah, they literally didn't make the play field any larger than the area the Pokemon can walk to, which means if they walk in the absolute corner at a normal zoom level, you can't click that Pokemon. So you're zooming in and then scrolling over, and things just bad.
Nice.
So, have you uninstalled it yet?
Not yet.
I'm doing that after this podcast because I found myself in a place where they're like, do you want to read your sleep report? And I'm like, no. And then I close the fucking game because it's not fun to have 15 minutes of my morning disappear.
Yeah. I was like, I'll do this later.
Mm-hmm.
After I'd done the first 2 screens and got to the point where I can feed the Pokemon, I was like, I'll do that later. It takes you back to the beginning if you come back. You have to sit through all the cutscenes and all the junk again. Like, what are you doing? This is supposed to integrate smoothly with someone's life. This does not do that at all.
Wow.
Okay, so next up, Pokemon Eat. You're going to scan in all the foods you eat, and if you eat too little, it's going to shame you, even though you have an eating disorder. And if you eat too much, it's going to shame you because you have an eating disorder. But really, because you're like probably a statistically average North American white guy who needs like 2,400 calories, and it's made by the Japanese, they'll be like, you Lardax, why are you eating this much?
Did you feed Snorlax? Did you do that at all?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know I could do. I couldn't.
I mean, the Snorlax eats the berries when you gather them automatically.
Right, but there's also the cooking.
Oh, it said I wasn't allowed to cook yet.
Exactly, right? And then today I filled up on food. So I was like, well, I have absolutely filled the food bar. I can't pick up any more of these Pokemon are dropping stuff I can't even pick up. You have to click on the Snorlax, not on the food making pot.
What?
Yeah, you click on the Snorlax and it's like, now I'll tell you how to cook. It's like, I was trying to do that for 6 days.
Yeah, there's no pop-up or icon or anything on the Snorlax to inform me that that's how I figure out how to cook.
Yeah.
Great.
Nice.
Awesome. Fantastic. Bob, uninstall the game.
Yeah, I should do that.
Anyway, do you have anything else to talk about?
No.
Then we're moving on to Chris.
I finished Final Fantasy 13.
Congratulations.
At least someone finished it.
Was it worth it?
Kind of.
A Final Fantasy being finished isn't given.
Sort of.
Like it's worth it because you did it, but you wouldn't have if you knew?
I mean, yeah, I did it to know, so if I had already known, there would have been no reason for me to do it. Yeah, nothing, not a single fucking thing in this game is done. Not a single thing, not the combat, not the UI, not the story, not the game world. And this is because, I didn't know this, they didn't really start development on this game until almost 2007. Because all the PS2 shit got thrown out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then they're like, you're making the Final Fantasy VII Crystal Tools demo. That's going to take like 6 or 7 months.
Mm-hmm.
So then after that, they could actually start development on this fucking game.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then you just read about it and it's like, we wanted to have towns, but no time. We wanted to have more story, but no time. We wanted to have all this shit, but no time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate they just didn't delay this and actually release a good product.
It had already been so fucking long.
Yeah, it's okay. They'll get it the next Final Fantasy.
Yeah, they've been saying that for
Don't worry,
20
they'll get it the
years.
next Final Fantasy.
Look, they've still got Versus 13. I'm sure that'll save it.
Yeah.
It's 2 games.
Yeah,
It's gonna be great.
that's fine.
I'm excited to play Final Fantasy 13 too at some point because everybody says that evolves things and is a much better game. I hope that's true.
I remember liking it a lot more.
Here's how, when I say the story is unfinished, I mean it feels like they pulled out half the cutscenes, at least. Cause like 8 or 9 hours in, Snow gets picked up by Fang and the Sanctum troops, and they go onto their airship. And you meet Cid Raines, and he's in like a 2-minute long scene. Then 15 hours later, you're walking through an area that I have no idea where this area is in relation to anything else. And Cid's just there. And he gives a big speech about how you inspired him and taught him he could fight against fate. And then he turns into a crystal man and you fight him. And I'm like, sir, we've never met. So I think I was in front of you at Wendy's once. Like, I'm not kidding. He has not spoken to a single fucking member of this cast other than Fang and Snow. But lightning attacks him as soon as she sees them. They act like they know each other.
Was he maybe supposed to have known her when she was in the military?
Maybe, but there's nothing in the game to signify this. It's just like, and that's all. Like, once they fucking explain what Fal'Cie are and what Elsie are, the game is not complicated. It does not have a complicated story. It's like it's actually pretty simple, but they just remove so much. It's like I can see the shape of the pieces that are missing because I played a bunch of RPGs. But it's entirely understandable why so many like journalists and people were like, I don't fucking get what's going on. Because they cut so much.
Mm-hmm.
And Bob was right. The game does get worse when you get to Grand Pulse, when it like opens up. Because that area is just now grind. This area exists so you can grind to be strong enough for the end of the game. It's the only reason it exists.
Oh.
Spend like 5 hours at least doing hunts. Like you talk to a thing and then it spawns a monster somewhere in the world. Go kill that monster. Just do this. Do at least 15 of those so you'll be strong enough for the final boss.
Ooh.
It has really great music. Some of the best in the series. Saz is one of the greatest Final Fantasy characters, period.
It's true.
There's no debate. He's the best part of this game.
He's so
sure.
good. He's the best.
Everything about him is joyous, from his character interactions to how much he loves his son to the fact him doing a neat little dance during his combat idol animation. The fact so many of his animations are just based on cactuars. It's really cool that the entire crux of the game is a lesbian relationship that people just never talked about. I don't see any other way.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah,
I've never seen any person like really bring it up, and I'm like, it's so explicit that the two women are the humans, like, are thematically and named after the two humans who survive Ragnarok and repopulate the world in Norse myth.
Yeah, it was really weird when I ran into that information somewhere in the last year or two, and I'm like, wait, why has no one talked about this ever?
But man, I can't recommend this game to anyone. Having towns would have helped so much. Just that, because you would have gotten the action ramps up, action ramps down. You get like breathing space in between the combat hallways where there can be like story. But man, it's just like, here's a combat hallway. What do you have to look forward to after that? More combat hallway.
Yeah. This is what an RPG is, right?
And this is why, like, this I'm now fully on board. The fuck people who want enemies to be on the map in these RPGs. That is so demoralizing in this game because you have to fight them all to be at the level they want. So you just look at this long hallway with like 18 encounters in it. And it's like, holy shit.
Eat all these M&Ms. Problem, they're not M&Ms, they're jawbreakers. Every single one.
I had not thought of that specific application and how soul crushing it would be. Because I'm used to enemies on the map being like Dragon Quest XI, where at a certain point they start fleeing before you, and you're like, "Aha, yes,
Yeah.
Now I am done leveling."
This is how I know.
The Crystarium is the worst leveling system in any RPG ever made. There's no question. It's not even a contest. Because you don't get to actually make any choices. It's just a thing you have to go do.
Oh.
You hold X and it looks pretty.
So that's how it's a worse version of the sphere grid.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
Imagine
was like,
if
the sphere grid's so simple. How do you fuck that up? Oh, I see. It's not a thing.
Imagine if the sphere grid had it didn't have any of those empty slots you can put in any stat you want. It didn't have any branches. It's a straight line.
They just wanted the leveling system to be a perfect reflection of the level layout. One hallway, one way.
And late in the game, they give every character every class, because otherwise each character only has 3 of the classes. They're classes, but they're called roles, because the weapons don't change or anything. So it's like, this is the damage roll. This is the...
Well, they're called paradigms, right?
No, paradigm is what your whole party setup is.
Oh, okay.
So, like, if you have you have a commando and 2 ravagers, that's the relentless assault paradigm.
Gotcha.
But late in the game, they're like, okay, everybody can be every class now, except they fucking can't. Because it takes a shitload of experience to level them up in those classes, and you don't want to use that experience for that, because the stat boosts each node give you goes up the higher up in the Crystarium you get. And these new classes don't start at the low costs. They start at relatively equal costs.
That's not how that's supposed to work.
So it makes no sense to not just keep the characters on the paradigms they have, not the paradigms, with the 3 that they have until the post game. I assume all that shit with full customization is for the post game.
Man, I'm really excited for the 13 remake.
They should remake Final Fantasy 13 into something that even remotely like the game they wanted to make. Because Motomu Toriyama has even let it slip at points like, yeah, we had to rush this entire game through in 2 years. We didn't have time to do shit. It's also funny because at least it's so far, maybe 3 really, really sells it. I don't see the Toriyama is obsessed with lightning thing. That's not something that I feel like it comes through in this game at all.
I feel like 2 is definitely the beginning of that.
Yeah, the accusations I feel didn't start till 2 and 3.
Right. And then 3 is she's literally the goddess.
We made her boobs bigger.
Yeah, that was...
Is that what the strength of the wild rose is?
Yes, apparently the desert rose is bigger boobs.
She has a costume that crosses over with Mass Effect.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
She has a ton of costumes in Lightning Returns.
Yeah, she does. I wonder if they're all in VR chat.
Maybe.
It looks real cool. It's half-baked in every way. I can't recommend anybody play it. If you're just like, I have 40 hours to burn and I absolutely have to know. Or if you don't have an Xbox and you have the PC version and can use Cheat Engine to just juice yourself up to the max level and skip every single conceivable enemy encounter you can. That would also really help.
Yeah.
If they were going to re-release this game, bare minimum, I would rip out half the enemies. I'd make the enemies that are there give 4 times as much experience. And I'd make it so you don't have to do a fucking thing on Grand Pulse. You can walk straight from there to the end of the game. And be fine.
Yikes. That's rough.
It's rough. There is stuff that I think is interesting, but they don't execute on it well at all. The character, the Black Mad Mage equivalent. Every character gets different elements. So theoretically, you would want to put specific characters in those roles to make you to hit boss weaknesses. But you can't swap party members in battle. and you can't swap out your paradigms in battle, and for most of the game, you don't get to pick what your party is. So it just completely falls flat, and that's true of all the classes. Like the buffing class, the characters get different buffs between them, and they get different debuffs between them when they have the debuff class. And none of that matters fucking at all, because for so much of the game, you don't get to pick who's in your party. And also Saz is the best one because he gets haste. There's no reason. The game even teaches you always have haste up. That feels like the lesson of the first Barthandelus fight. He's like, I'm going to kill you in 20 minutes. Cast haste so you can kill me fast enough.
Right.
But yeah, man. Now I know. That's good. I can now say that anybody trying to rehabilitate that game's image is nuts. Like, legitimately, completely without any hyperbole. Final Fantasy 15 is a more complete game.
15?
Like, it does... 15. 15 doesn't feel like they removed so much story, it's borderline incomprehensible.
That happens in the first 3 hours when they show you a cutscene that is the movie that goes, your hometown's blown up. I don't fucking know, kid. Anyways, enjoy
You still
your
know
wedding.
that happened, though. You still know the town blew up. They didn't not mention it and then have a guy from the town show up 15 hours in. Be like, I'm from that town we've never mentioned.
Saying something has more deliberate missing plot than 15 is a huge ask. Like,
Yeah, then the ending where they just cut everything. Yeah, I don't know.
I'd have to replay 15, but it's as bad, at least. Where it's like, it's bad to the point where it's obvious just from looking at any part of it. Like, even the UI in combat feels so low rent and undone.
I mean, yeah,
Like, it's insane.
There were very few ideas in the 13 combat, and they're like, none of them are good. Like, they all serve to make it a less interesting turn-based strategy game, I feel like, because on paper, they have upsides, but in practice, I feel like they just weigh the fucking thing down with bad ideas.
Yeah, it feels like they had no time to iterate on the combat system at all. It's like, we wrote down what it should be, we made something that matches what we wrote down. We have to get this out the door. Other than that, I beat Gravity Circuit. Gravity Circuit's really cool. It has, 8 levels and then 4 levels at the end. And it has a neat little self-contained story. And you unlock a mode after you beat it where it's like, okay, you can spend your health to do your super attacks now, so you can actually do Mega Man Zero type combos on the bosses and take all their health in one second. Yeah, I recommend it. Gravity Circuit's great. It has great music. It looks really fucking nice.
Yeah,
The art is really great.
It's got that Game Boy Color aesthetic for all the character sprites, if I remember correctly, and it's adhering pretty well. It's really smooth too.
Yeah, it's really smooth. It kind of does it. There's one character you have to talk to initiate every level, and every time he has a bad joke. I'm just like, please, I know it's coming. It's so and it's not even I wouldn't even call it a joke. It's just like, go stop the robot master from doing this bad thing, or else it will cause minor inconvenience to me. And that's every single one of the jokes. And no other character is funny in that way. So it just feels like they put the clown as the guy you have to talk to get into these levels.
You're like, if I wanted this experience, I'd go work a register at a retail store.
But that's it. I had to beat Final Fantasy 13. I had to get through it.
Yeah.
I kept trying to drop it. It was literally that Pop Team Epic comic where she goes, "Fuck this shit. I'm never playing this game again," and throws the controller away. And then the controller levitates back to her and she starts playing it again. That happened like 4 times throughout playing Final Fantasy 13.
Did you play anything else?
No.
Okay. Do you know what that means?
I don't know, Dan.
Podlords. What?
Huh?
The Podlord music? Whatever. We're switching to the other one.
Oh, fuck.
We're doing it live.
I love when shit breaks for no reason live.
Who doesn't?
Hogwarts.
Yes, that's right. The Podlords.
Potentially.
Podlords? Maybe. Podlords such as BN12, Lee Broyles. When I turn around, freeze! You moved! You moved! You moved!
That's getting worse.
Red Blaze 27, Suzu Shiro, Rado. 101 Shades is on vacation remastered.
It looks like they're not getting the pictures, Dan.
They're not gonna. Why are they not? One moment. Is that? There are no pictures yet.
Okay.
They are getting a picture because that's all there is so far. Anyways,
Right.
WTF Spider-Man. I'm surviving record-setting forest fires, 36H lightning, and all-time flooding in Canada. Bring on the tornadoes and earthquakes!
Good luck. Good luck. That's a lot.
Luck be with you.
Kybird. It is an ancient app. Some call it Twitter, but the meaning is the same.
Yeah, let them just flow in.
DFW3K, Muckbun, Shiny Mew, Kristen, auto-playing max volume Juice of Frost, Kyle Bjork, brain fried due to allergies, Estonian children, educator bear person. What in the world am I looking at? What is this nightmare?
That's me in the midst of an allergy attack.
Monster Hunter, Ryzen, and Raiden? Project Moon, after firing a lead artist for supporting basic human rights.
A little bit more complicated than that.
Cooper Tank. 3D handsome Squidward is not real. 3D handsome Squidward cannot hurt you.
Half of that statement is true.
The Ochi presents you with Pikmin. Do you accept?
I would like to wake up now.
Run.
Indigo Sykes. Drive Typecast. Why?
God damn it. That should not be that good.
Evil Lucario. A raccoon hanging out with a cat.
Oh.
AG got flashbanged by a YouTuber waxing nostalgically for one of Agro's Cursed Content Club submissions.
Hell yeah.
Excellent.
Shinji16 passed the CAPM exam. Now, if only he could pass DP 9th Dan in 2DX. Lock the Chest returns and has now experienced the joys of being in an actual shield wall.
Nice.
I am forever changed.
That's awesome.
The Super Mim. The Hard M. Sarlene. Tomothy Fister. Bearded Joe. Pleochrome. Krungle Spum. Ochi the Rock.
God damn it.
Me after I eat the 3-hour hot car pizza. Pasta.
It's a radical new Italian dish. You'll start hearing about it soon.
worry, Chad. I didn't eat the 3-hour hot car pasta. It is still in Bob's fridge. Ichigo Kurosaki, the moment Bleach episode 167 ends. Noodle, the returning. That gameplay trailer had me officially Armored Core 6 pilled. I'm now also Miss Key pilled. No relation. And dog.
Look at him.
Dog.
So pretty.
Dog.
Thank you very much to our dog lords.
Thank you, Doc Lord.
Thank you, dog lords.
Thank you, dog lords. And if you'd like to become a dog lord and you can go to your local humane society and pick up a pound puppy right now. They need your help. We also need your help. So go to our Patreon at patreon.com/GB podcast and become a contributor today and get such benefits as early access to Chugging Bleach and Pokemon Go to the Movies, our two monthly anime review podcasts, extended content from other shows when we have cut content, laying around on the floor to give you. A movie, Isolation 119, this is not a joke. By giving to our Patreon, you get a movie. The only way on the internet you can watch Isolation 119, a movie about a man sitting in a chair instead of investigating the injuring of his brother. He really cares about his brother, but not enough to actually investigate. He mostly just gets drunk and into fights with the locals. You also get a patron exclusive show sometimes wherein we watch a good thing, and you get a non-patron exclusive show where we watch a horrible thing. But patrons get a commentary track for that horrible thing. So if you ever want to hear us groan while watching Dr. Horrible sing-along blog, or unless the Writers Guild strike ends real fucking soon, Wolverine Origin.
Come on, you guys. Pay your writers.
So if you want that, you'll get that. And other bonuses sometimes. That's patreon.com/GB podcast. And if you don't have any money, it always helps us immensely to tell your friends. Rate us on Thursdays before Twitch removes that feature. Like this video on YouTube. Rate us on your podcast app of choice. Or just go to r/games and just shill us until they ban you. You don't want to post on r/games anyway. Just go out in a blaze of glory. Patreon.com/GB podcast.
We've got some news. I'm going to get mine out of the way real quick. Hey, did you see that thumbnail? That's the inside of the Project Q. It's mostly nothing. Shock. Did you know a thing that is just Wi-Fi and a big screen with a controller on it doesn't need a whole lot inside? It's true. But no, really, apparently it leaked. It is running some flavor of Android. So some people out there are like, I wonder if I can hack it to do stuff. And I'm like, probably not a whole lot, frankly.
It doesn't have any fucking guts.
Yeah, like, is there a processor? I assume
there's probably a very minimal processor. I don't know, man. But for people who forgot, this is the giant portable streaming through your local internet.
Yeah, portable.
From your PS5 you already own. Probably $300 thing.
It's the perfect bedroom console.
Up next, retro gaming hardware news. Pixel FX, the company who's made a few other projects like the PS1 Digital, HDMI mod out, and Dreamcast Digital, and some other things. It's a collective of guys. In fact, one of them made the Game Boy Consoleizer, so that thing's pretty good too. Anyways, they announced the Retro Gem, singular, maybe plural, I don't know. It's a single mod board you can put in PS1, PS2, Dreamcast, or N64 to get HDMI out from it. So everyone's been waiting for the PS2 one, and now it's a little bit of a shame that the demand is being conflated and somewhat interrupted by these other consoles being the thing we've been waiting for is also demand for them. For people who are curious, there are two models. The original model, which is $99 and can do up to 720p, which you might know is not a clean upscale of a 480 signal like the Dreamcast and PS2 has. Or you can pay $100 for what is a completely digital upgrade. It's the same board. There's no hardware difference. It is a license they are selling you to use the upscaling functionality on this board.
Disgusting.
To hell.
Yeah.
So, and it can output 1440p. So that's the one you actually want. I've described the PS2 HDMI out as a holy grail, the thing that we've been wanting, right? This whole time. This is it. This is the end game. This is the last one that matters. So of course I bought it. And now I'm gonna have to pay someone to mod it. And I'm not in love with that. And if that PS2 dies, I'll have to pay someone to mod it into a PS2 that's still alive.
Don't forget modding it also means they cut out the optical port because these people are criminals.
Yeah, I don't understand why you would cut out the optical port, because for the love of God, that is a perfect audio format. The only world in which it isn't is one where you need 5.1 or 7.1 surround sound. It is a perfectly lossless, noise isolated cable for transmitting perfect quality stereo audio.
But I don't want to cut the plastic on the outside of the box.
So we'll just remove the optical. That's
sane.
good. I'm glad we didn't harm the outside of a PS2, a thing that happens every day because it's a console that was owned by children. Anyway, so that's a thing. Apparently, it's still up for sale. The weirdest part of the messaging around this, other than the really cringe YouTube video they made about it, and I mean like Limited Run Games Expo cringe, is the part where they keep trying to pitch it to you that them having one board for all four of these consoles is a feature you get. And I'm like, no, that's a production feature so you can make more easily.
Yes.
That's not a feature for me. I'm paying, in a sense, for interoperability with three consoles I'll never use it on.
Right. No, you're not modding this out of one system into another. That's
Right.
not how it works.
No one would do that, basically, ever.
You just got to put them side by side and stick it in the middle and solder a couple extra wires over.
Just keep some loose cables around and solder and desolder every time you need to switch. Yeah, it's
It
convenient.
needs to be one of those things where the PC with no case that's just hanging from the ceiling by wires.
Yeah. Like, what's that? Oh, that's my PS2. That's horrifying. Why have you done that?
I've hung an emotion engine at eye level. You're going to prison. You can't do that.
I think this will probably be a really good quality product because it's a digital internal thing. It should be able to get sharper, especially if you have, a good capture card. Then an upscaler could reasonably get. And it has multiple scaling features. It's a very well-rounded scaler. It's the same one that's in the N64. So if you're curious about what all it can do, go look up the Pixel FX N64 digital. So I think it's a good product, and I think probably will be the last retro gaming hardware thing I buy, because I don't use an upscaler all that much anymore. We have the Mister.
Right.
We use the Mister for NES, Super NES, PS1. It's basically all covered. The only things that I really need an upscaler for is N64 and Saturn. Which, I mean, the N64 would be nice, but it looks nice nowadays, now that we've gotten a billion firmware updates on the RetroTIG 5X, making that a higher quality upscaler. So I don't know. I don't know if that makes any sense. Maybe
there's a Saturn Mr. Core coming along. That might be worthwhile someday.
There's a Saturn and N64 Mr. Core coming along. I will not put faith in those working perfectly.
Did you see Sega being like, yeah, we want to do a Saturn retro thing. We can't fucking figure out how.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard people
This
talking
shit's
about
hard.
that. Yeah, you designed a nightmare box. You make the PS2 look sober.
Also, did you see that? Did you see one of the Sega executives at the time was like, actually, you know how everybody's like, Sega of America made so much money, they fucking didn't.
Yeah, I did see that.
The basic thing is they would send out an enormous amount of hardware to stores, like unbelievably huge, and then report all these earnings. And then like 2-3 years later, the store would be like, we didn't sell these. We're sending them back.
Yeah,
and those would become losses.
Yeah, it was the PS3 era thing where they stuffed the fucking production line, the supply chain, with an inordinately high amount by trying to strong arm them because Sega had good relations in the United States. I still have a little bit of a grain of salt
when it comes to listening to Sega of Japan about Sega of America, though.
I
don't doubt
have
that.
just as much of a grain of salt of listening to Tom Kalinske, a guy who wrote a book about how great he was.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I get it. Yeah, imagine the different timeline where the Saturn didn't suck. Because there are some
Imagine the
great
timeline
games,
where
man.
Sega of America wasn't like, please make the 32X and the fucking
Right?
please ruin everything forever. So because I think I'm running a toy company.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like the worst era of like every game company is when they get a toy guy in charge. Because I am also now willing to call the Wii era of Nintendo, the Wii to Wii U era, the worst era of Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
Late Wii to Wii U, which was Reggie being a toy guy. And Iwata trotted out that, yeah, the Wii U is because we thought tablets were the future. And I'm like, I don't fucking believe you. I think Reggie was like, we need to go Fisher Price on this shit. Because it looks and feels like a Fisher Price toy.
Oh, it definitely does that.
Mm-hmm.
It has that build quality that just makes you feel like you're wielding a Fisher Price tablet.
It just has this energy of like, yeah, a toy guy came up with this.
Yeah. But yeah, the Pixel FX gem looks neat. We'll get our hands on that at some point, and we'll let you know how good it looks and whether or not it's worth it. It would have been super great if Pixel FX put out a sane video that showed how good it looked in the 1440p mode, but for some reason they would not do that. That seems incredibly dumb.
YouTube only lets you upload 1080p.
The video is actually 4K.
Oh my god.
They put out a video that has nothing but 1080p output from their mod, and it's 4K upscaled in Premiere, and I have no idea why they've done this. It makes no sense. So then, the next day, Mike Chi just put up a video of the RetroTig 4K compared to the 5X, and I'm like, wow, both of these look sharper because that's 1440p out. I don't know why they did this. Anyway, let's move on. Hey, Aggro, let's go with you.
Game Mill has announced Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl 2. It's apparently coming out this fall. It's got some visual upgrades over the first one, some new characters you might have seen in the Pod Lords, including Squidward, Jimmy Neutron. Here's hoping it feels better enough to care about.
It did look a decent bit better, and they have voice acting from the beginning this time, so that's something.
That helps.
You see in the trailer they redesigned a few levels to be a little bit bigger and kind of zoomed out, and it would have to control better for the levels to be designed that way.
Huh. I actually didn't see the trailer, and I'll be honest, I didn't hear about the announcement, but it leaked months ago because of a voice actor, so...
Oh, yeah. That's how that works.
That's how that works.
I think it's really funny to do this big dramatic reveal for Jimmy Neutron, when it's like, you put his dad in
I'd
the
beat
last
that
game,
kid to death with a hammer.
You know that he's more popular than him.
Well, his dad's more powerful, maybe. I think everyone knows Jimmy's dad is true strength.
Does Jimmy's dad summon a blue ice white dragon and send you to the Shadow Realm
I have no
in
idea.
that game? Because I'd buy it twice.
He would, but he doesn't.
Damn. The waste of an opportunity.
Oh no, I just saw the next bullet.
Yeah, we were talking about this last week.
We suck so much.
We do. Switchback VR got patch 1.06. It's apparently a huge visual overhaul. We fixed these objects. We fixed the fog. We redid some textures. We fixed some problems with enemies clipping into the cart. We fixed some problems with enemies not getting close enough to the cart to damage the player.
Oh.
Huh.
Yeah, it seems like the whole game just got up to par because a lot of it did look a little flat and cheesy.
Huh.
I knew about this patch last Tuesday and absolutely forgot about it, and so I haven't checked it out.
Yeah, I was like, hey, Aggro, I saw this trailer. They announced a patch. This doesn't mean anything to anyone who hasn't played the game, so I have no idea what's changed. So it's good to know that it's things like enemies can now hit the player.
It really, a lot of it seems like weird visual stuff. Like we fixed, the light from the cart actually affects the environment now. We fixed some floating objects and that kind of thing. They just seem to have given it a once over.
I may pick that game up once it goes on sale because I didn't get it at launch, so I don't really want to pay full price.
Right.
Yeah. So because
to this day, the thought of, during this part, the mannequins stay perfectly still, and the second you blink, they move towards you. Just, no. That is too much. Eye tracking was kind of meant for this, but shouldn't be used this way.
Speaking of ways that eye tracking should not be used, I don't remember. I feel like this might have come up at an earlier weird patent trawl, but back in February, Sony filed U.S. Patent 11586-284, using gaze tracking to affect player choices in multiplayer interactive narratives.
Multiplayer interactive
Multiplayer what is this going to be? Oh, you looked at the racist too much. You're siding with him now.
Kinda. So this patent supposes a game in which players control. It's your basic meta future bullshit where like some players are the hero and some players are shopkeepers. The actual example they used was, one player's at the shop and one player's the shopkeeper. And the patent is about giving players dialogue choices based on it reading things you're looking at or facial expressions, like if you're surprised or you're angry. So in the first example, you go into the shop and your gaze lingers on one item. Well, then the shopkeeper player will get options like, notice that he looked at this, and you can say something about that. The second option was, imagine if the shopkeeper had a low-cut blouse and the player was looking at her rack. Then maybe if the player tried to haggle for a better price on an item, you could be mad that he was looking at your tits or into it. So on the one hand, I'm like, Sony's prepared for a bright future of interactive VR experiences where you get a notification when someone's staring at your ass. Or, on the other hand, Sony might be prepared for a grim dystopia in which if you get caught checking out an NPC's chest, you get timed out of the game for 30 seconds to think about what you've done and to purify your thoughts before you're allowed to continue to play.
Can you imagine?
And that's Sony when I would sue Sony for ableism because I'm just disassociated. It didn't have anything to do with what's in front of my eyes.
Yeah, no, and you'd probably win that. Like, I feel like there's no way you couldn't make that argument in a courtroom. Like, honestly,
they'd be talking to me on the stand, and I just zone out and stare into space for 30 seconds and be like, "Okay, fucking he wins."
The fucking news coverage is like in his heart-wrenching 30-minute testimony where he said nothing.
It's like, look. Sometimes the Wi-Fi connection cuts off, like what happened to Mitch McConnell yesterday. He just fucking zoned out and stared into space. He definitely shit himself, by the way. If you're wondering why that happened, he was shitting himself.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, there's...
Anyway. Yeah.
To assuage this specific fear, this does look like... Because, I mean, as soon as the PSVR 2 started getting developed, you started seeing shotgun patents coming out for the randomest bullshit.
I mean, that's pretty much Sony, like the McDonald's patent.
Yeah, this is how tech companies work. They'll just, anytime someone thinks it's DARPA down there, anytime somebody thinks of something, they patent that shit.
Yeah.
But it is... I had to read the phrase "has a low-cut blouse" in an official patent filing.
Yeah, isn't that fucking insane? Also, like, worth noting, I would simply gaze respectfully. All right, Sony, I'm sorry that you can't tell the difference, but the ladies can. Thank you.
See, this is when you got to get the clear LED extra lenses that you can control with the right stick, so you can tell the game where you want to be looking while you're looking down here.
Your character's eyes are just rolled up the whole time. God. I would like to buy a sword. Well then, that's exciting news. Acro, thank you for bringing it in. Bob.
Yeah.
Let's move on to your news.
Sure. Capcom acquired Sword Cane's studio. They are some Japanese studio that does 2D, 3D animation and asset generation for video games. They've worked on New Pokemon Snap, Monster Hunter Rise, Hi-Fi Rush, Final Fantasy 16, Guilty Gear Strive, and Street Fighter 6.
Motherfuckers are busy.
Yeah, no, they're apparently doing a lot of stuff over there, so it's kind of crazy that they're now just going to be locked down to that one company, but Capcom has worked with them pretty frequently, as I just listed like 3 games from them there.
Yeah, I'm like, how many of these shipped in 6 months? Like at least 3 of them between Hi-Fi Rush, Final Fantasy 16, and Street Fighter 6.
Yeah, right?
They are busy. Anyways, this is the Japanese equivalent for getting a studio and throwing it into the Call of Duty mines, but it's for Resident Evil. They're like, we need more assets. We have to remake Code Veronica. Go, go, go.
Yeah, as always with these, kind of sucks. I understand why you did it, though. It's like, I think that the Capcom summarizing is like, we don't see the financial damage happening to us at all, and we just get to have this extra studio making stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if they're an asset farm, owning them in-house seems like a solid decision.
Right.
Yeah, because that's like the thing. Like, it's a little bit less heartbreaking, I guess, when it's a studio whose entire point is to be a support studio, right? Like, they weren't making their own games, and then
No.
so it's a little different from, say, buying 17 different developers and 16,000 jobs or something.
Yeah.
a little different. Interesting though, because like in PlayStation's case, they just built like PlayStation Malaysia from the ground up.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't acquire anyone for that specifically. And as far as I'm can recall, and feel free to correct me on this, I feel like all the PlayStation ones haven't been asset studios. They've all been like original developers doing like Helldivers or Returnal, or port studios like Nix's, and also the developers.
Bluepoint.
Yeah, Bluepoint, and also developers for which Bluepoint got used as an asset developer for some sort of recent game, can't remember what. But also the developers of Horizon Call of the Mountain, which are Firewalk Studios, is that the name of them? I think
I know
that's
Firewalk
Fire
does.
Sprite?
Fire Sprite.
Sprite.
There we go. Yeah, I think
Firewalk's that service game studio, isn't it?
probably yes. But anyway, so it's a little different when it's not an independent studio making their own games and versus an asset studio for support.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. This seems like it could be a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. If anything, this will help Capcom keep things on track.
They do want to have a lot more games coming out.
Maybe at least even 2 or 3 Resident Evils.
Right, maybe even games that aren't Resident Evil.
Maybe. Well, the reduction in COVID has gotten to a point maybe we can get a Mega Man. Please, God, for fuck's sake.
Nope, Monster Hunter with zombies.
God damn it.
We got to see more about Project L this week. That's the League of Legends fighting game made by the Rising Thunder developers that were acquired 8 years ago or something. It feels like forever.
It's been forever. Forever.
We already knew it was going to
7 years, I think.
Yeah, it's nuts.
We already knew it was going to be like a tag team fighter. Now they've announced it's a tag team where you have 2 actual people playing together on one team. Luckily, that's not the only way to play. You can just play this like a regular video game.
That's cool.
Was there like an announcement I missed that's what we're doing now? Because this is like the 3rd one of these I've heard about in the last 4 months.
3rd one of what? Like specifically?
2v2 fighters.
Huh. Yeah, I get where matchmaking wise this helps because you can get more lobbies up more quickly if you're not teamed up with the second person and you're just going in and you'll team up with randoms.
God, what a nightmare for a fighting game. Not that it isn't in a league. So
it's perfectly fine in League. I love having random teammates. Oh, is that the N-word? A delightful surprise.
Yeah, what the fuck made this take 7 years?
Okay, so to put this in a fucking frame of mind for everyone who's like not aware who these people are, they got acquired because they invented GGPO, which means if you ever heard about rollback netcode in a fighting game, that was after that because it was not a hot like label thing. It was not a huge feature when they got acquired. So it's just insane to be like, so imagine before all of those conversations ever. That's how long they've been making the one game.
Yeah, they got acquired by Riot in 2016.
Fucking insane.
Yeah. Also, I was watching the video for this, And I had Granblue versus Rising sitting on my other screen and was like, wow, these don't look even close to each other.
Oh, because Project L looks that good.
No.
Oh.
It's crazy. Project L has better looking backgrounds, but much worse looking characters.
Do you think this is we want the assets to be low so that way we can run it on more machines?
Maybe?
That has to be the case. There's no way that I mean, it's Riot, so they're gonna want you to crank that shit down as low as you can.
Right.
Other things just feel like they don't have the same level of artists. Like they have Irie, the anime girl, in this. It's like a fox girl, and she just does not look like how you would model an anime girl in a 3D game. Like that just doesn't come across. They don't have an artist that can do it right.
Okay. All right.
But
Yeah, there's something off about the animations. Like I guess like they're trying to go for like the Arxis thing, but where Arxis is like, no, we like keyframe these animations so they still look 2D. This doesn't look like that at all. So it looks like a game from like 2013.
it does just look weird. It doesn't bother me as much as the other characters, but her face is really rough. But I'm still excited to play this. Like I said a while back on the podcast, Rising Thunder was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that may have been 4 years ago that we said that. Who knows? It's been forever.
Also earlier today, though, when we were talking about Granblue, and it's really funny that Granblue game is like, no, we actually switched to the Rising Thunder system. Now this year we're going to beat them out.
God. Good
Is this
Lord.
even using the Rising Thunder system? I haven't watched anybody play it. It doesn't have like the nodes with cooldowns though.
It doesn't. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really not sure. I don't know if that's the complete UI they have up on there, or what. So it's unclear. I need to watch more, I guess.
I wonder how this is going to do because we've been hearing about it because it's a free to play fighting game. So there's a chance it just dies instantly like Multiversus did.
I think Riot has the power to push this out in front of people.
True, but the fighting game.
Yeah.
Like I feel like the average League of Legends player will get into this, lose once, not have anyone to blame, and then never play the game ever again.
Well, that's why the tech save system is there.
Yeah.
It's literally so you can have the same sort of awful relationship between players as you do there.
I see.
Man, it's so weird that these games have so much inherent toxicity you can never ever moderate out of them because it's integral to the structure of the game.
Huh.
Strange.
Weird.
Let's move on.
Sure. Granblue Fantasy Relink. This is the action RPG one. That got rated in Australia. That game might be real.
Wait a second.
I'm scared.
What, did they
I'm
send them
scared
the
now.
design docs and they're like, rate these?
I'm so fucking scared it's going to be like, yeah, it's December.
Oh,
It's
that
in
would
December.
suck so bad. That would be a fucking nightmare.
That'd be pretty funny, though.
No.
It's like there's already so many things this year.
But what if?
Just slide it in.
We need to just take our normal pills and cut it off in November like everybody else.
No. Okay, maybe. Good Lord. If they slide that game out in fucking December.
I feel like they did a similar thing of sneaking out Granblue versus original before we expected them to. It wasn't at the end of the year like that because I believe it was a February release. But I remember it just being like, hey, it's coming out in 2 weeks.
So. It was like right before the world ended, so
right, everything becomes a little weird.
Yep.
So it's like, well, now nobody can play your game in person. I hope you have good netcode.
Oh yeah, I didn't even talk about that aspect of this when I was playing that versus Rising. The netcode was really good.
Oh, that's
Imagine
great.
that. Like,
Oh, that's great. It's so great that some developers learned.
We also there's I believe it's called China Joy event going on in China, where PlayStation talked about their new China Hero Project stuff.
McDonald's.
That's what they did.
Sorry, he threw the arms up. I have to think about that pattern every day when I play Ring Fit because it has exercises that look like the pattern.
So they announced 3 new games. Dahaba, Land of Watermarks. This is developed by Darkstar. It's a very cool name.
That is. Yeah. I'd watch that Saturday morning cartoon.
It seems to be a Souls-like where you fight zombie Puma Men.
You said something awful for my interest levels and then something amazing for my interest levels. What are you?
You
Are
are
you some guy?
you are some guy. It's apparently a humanoid clay puppet, but he just looks like a human.
Okay.
And it has a sort of
When you die, you shatter and you make the Kurlanesque sound. Just a pot shattering from Zelda.
yes.
That would be like, oh, this is my game of the year.
That would be really good.
Oh my God.
But yeah, it looks pretty cool. It's got an interesting looking art style. I think it's like maybe Tibet inspired outfits and stuff for the main character. It looks neat. Other than being Souls like, I'm pretty excited for whatever this ends up being.
Cool.
Then the other two. The Wind Rising.
The Winds?
The Winds Rising, yes.
Okay, The Winds Rising.
From developer TI Games. It's an action RPG, but they basically just made a CG logo reveal.
Cool.
And then
I'm glad China's getting in on this.
Right, and then they put out a blurb of text that is, it follows the journey of a girl from a peaceful village who embarks on a grand adventure after she encounters a lost monster cub, which affects the rise and fall of the entire kingdom.
Oh my God.
Neat.
I wish you showed any of that. You showed a logo that was
hobby grade.
Monster Cup.
It was like, show me this monster cub. Show me anything.
Oh, cub
Nah.
with a B.
Yeah,
Yeah,
with,
cub.
with a cub.
See, I was curious as to what the Monster Cup was.
It lets you drink monsters. You're very thirsty and low energy. You really need one right now, actually. The entire kingdom falls by the side of monster.
And then the last one is somehow even worse.
Uh-huh.
It's called The God Slayer from developer Passia Games. It's an action RPG set in ancient China. They showed like 2 screenshots and then an artwork to show a dragon.
Oh my God.
And then it's like coming out in 2027.
what the fuck?
Fuck you, don't show it.
Right?
Fuck you, don't show it.
That ain't a game,
No.
bro. That's as much a game as a dude in GameStop being like, I wish they would make a game where.
Right? Like, did they announce Fable as well?
When you cut the tree, Mr. Wayne, it leaves a scar.
I don't know why. Like, there was some illusion that they might be real for the last 2.
That's insane.
What are you doing, PlayStation? Why are you showing this?
Why are you giving these people a platform? And someone's like, yeah. And I'm like, wait, you said that a bit too emphatically. Are you racist? They're like, oh, I thought you were too.
Oh yeah, we got to see the first trailer for Castlevania Nocturne,
Which is Castlevania the Netflix 2.
Richter Belmont edition. It comes out September 28th. So that's soon.
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah. That's 2
I
months.
was not prepared
Yeah.
spiritually
Uh-huh.
or emotionally
Yeah.
for MILF Richter. I swear to God, if that one scene is all the screen time she gets in this series, I'm going to riot. I'm going to be out on the streets with a cricket bat and a dented aluminum trash can throwing a riot. Richter with tits is the ideal woman. Peak.
And that was the Aggro Minute.
You may not like it, but this is what peak female performance looks like.
Do you think she'll Grand Cross?
Jesus.
Hey, Bob. Can we talk about some other news? Racists might hate.
Tencent acquires Visual Arts.
All of them?
Yes, all of them. Okay, Visual Arts
It's like a company called Visual
is
Arts.
a company that
Okay.
makes a visual novel engine.
Okay.
Also publish a lot of visual novels. They in
Oh.
fact own Key,
Oh.
the creators of Clannad, Canon, and more recently Stella of the End.
They own?
Yeah, they own them.
Okay, so they
They own a shitload of companies.
That's fucking
that,
weird.
That was like the biggest one of the little visual novel developers they have.
Huh.
Yeah. So this is just a giant part of that industry, basically.
That's fucking
They
crazy.
also own a bunch of music shit, I think.
Huh. Crazy.
I don't know about China owning the visual novel people, Bob. The reason being, they might censor it. I wish Sony would buy them instead.
They never censor anything. Sony.
We have detected your gaze lingering on a low-cut bluff.
I Riddler breakdown in the middle of the weapon shop.
I'm just going to throw this in because they acquired another thing also.
Yeah.
They acquired Techland, the developers of Dying Light 2, The First Dead Island, and Call of Juarez.
I believe they did Dying Light 1 as well.
Yes, that is
yeah,
Techland.
probably.
Which means they did Dead Island.
He said that.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Yeah, I did.
But not 2.
Not too.
Not 2. Dying Light even feels like, yeah, we don't own a Dead Island anymore. So here's another zombie melee game.
Hey, but it had free running, which means it had an idea.
Dead Island 2 has an idea. It's MMO loot.
No! Well, Bob, let's get to your last hard-hitting bit of news.
Oh man, they showed us this Armor Core 6 trailer. It looked really cool.
It looks so good.
He fights like a gigantic chopper.
It's so good.
I don't know, you guys. I feel like the graphics have suffered.
Oh, yeah?
And then for a mech game, they really need to be flashier.
Yeah?
They just aren't cool particle effects off the laser sword, right?
It's not up to the standard of other mech games?
I keep
real?
listing other things that moron said, but they didn't make enough sense to remember in a linear order.
Right, yeah.
If only that they used Unreal Engine 5 so it could crash and run terribly because they had no idea what they're doing.
Their engine is so old. I understand what an engine is. Goo goo gaga. More at 11. Anyway, hey, Chris, you have news?
Yes, I do.
Cool.
So remember when Harada was a dick to that guy on Twitter or them? I don't know their gender identity. Remember when Harada
happened.
Remember Harada was a dick to that person and was like, we didn't announce we have rollback netcode because it's just expected and everybody would be weird about it anyway. Well, it turns out Tekken 8 doesn't fucking have rollback netcode.
Motherfucker. I have
Tekken 8
decided to ask Harada for shit.
Tekken 8, according to someone, a networking person I talked to who's much smarter than me, Tekken 8 has a slightly better version of what Tekken 7 has. So it is rollback until you get to the point where you need rollback, and then it becomes delay.
What? I mean, a lot of rollback things do that, where if it can't do more frames of rollback, it adds delay. Street Fighter 6 literally does that. They always display it at the top.
This is so high because it's allegedly it's prioritizing. We don't want to skip any frames, so it's just going to hang forever.
Yeah, I did see a lot of clips of like it having major hitches in battle.
We never saw anything like this for any of these other
so
net tests.
the problem isn't what he described mechanically, it's that it's not transitioning the delay smoothly. Because
Also,
what he
the
described
point
is literally how rollback works.
The point where it becomes delay is way too soon.
It sounds like it's too late if the game's stuttering.
No, I mean, like, the point the rollback turns off is, like, it turns off when you'd start to need rollback. So connections that would be fine on rollback are getting delay and shitting their pants. That's how it was explained to me, and I certainly see way too many clips of everything freezing that I didn't see in any other modern game.
No, that shouldn't happen with any form of rollback. That seems like they are just not pumping the delay correctly on their side, because if it's stuttering, the notion is you did not have enough delay in the first place to buffer out that state. I have to wonder what the fuck they're doing and if Tekken is still not a deterministic game, and that's why it's having this issue. Because a lot of the cornerstone of rollback is your game must be fully deterministic. As far as I understand it, there can't be
We roll 2 processes on 2 machines and they come up with 2 different results. It must always come out the same. That is a part of that. What the hell are they doing over there?
But like this is the test that's supposed to make the like
Make
it's
it-
supposed
yeah.
to be
Man.
like, thanks for saving me $70, Harada, because if like I'm not going back. Like Street Fighter 6 is right there and it works. I've never had a bad Street Fighter 6 match. I've played for like 20 hours.
Right. Yeah.
Like I didn't play nearly as much Strive, but I never had a bad Strive match.
I'm seeing someone say the number of rollback frames appears to be fixed rather than varying to accommodate different connections. That would definitely do it. Because you're supposed to add more and fewer frames in order to buffer that.
Right.
My God.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, it sucks. That sucks a lot.
This is the first this is the first closed test for this. Maybe they'll do something.
Invent an entirely.
don't
Look,
know.
the important thing is that everyone should get fucking mad because they don't have a date announced for this.
Right.
That's true.
You
It
get
could
mad enough, they
potentially be
delay it.
fixed.
Yeah.
That definitely means FGC people who are blaming this on Wi-Fi, go fuck yourself. You're making the world worse because you're standing for a dude that would despise you if he met you. Like, what are you doing?
I mean, yeah, you want the netcode to be good enough to be stellar on a wired connection, so I wouldn't say just get angry at people on Wi-Fi, though. To be clear, you should really
You
not
should,
be
but
on
but
Wi-Fi,
we live in an
though.
imperfect world, and 90% of the people playing any fighting game are going to be playing on Wi-Fi.
So they should be branded and corralled like animals.
Like, you can't, like, at that point, well, everybody should be wired. You're now doing the Stadia cope, where it's like your connection's not good enough for Stadia.
No, because that just isn't true. Networking is very different in that, physically speaking, Wi-Fi loses packets. So it gets really complicated, whereas a wired connection can reliably transmit the same information. Whereas Stadia never fucking worked right. Fuck you.
I'm just saying, you have to understand the real use cases of the thing, and you can't go, well, we should have a perfect world where everybody uses them in ideal circumstances. That's never going to happen. It's not even going to be most of people.
Right. Right. I'm just saying Wi-Fi warriors don't get off on this one, but also this needs to get fixed. I can be mad at both. But yeah. Yeah, I'm very curious what they have going on under the hood. Like, I am really curious because he seems to think it's rollback. And it sounds
No
like
one told him
it
this.
kind of.
I mean,
It's a combustion engine. The car combusted.
Street Fighter, Capcom kept fucking saying Street Fighter 5 had rollback. It sure fucking didn't, but they sure said it.
Man.
But yeah, your shit has to work. It's 2023. We've been through an apocalypse. Hopefully this can get fixed. It would be worth delaying it to fix this app, because if it launches with terrible netcode, I feel like it'll just die on impact. You can't, because now you're the only one.
Right.
Yeah, everyone else figured it out. And like, part of this problem is that in Japan, the networking is such a different situation because of the dense population.
I really hope this is not just another case of, oops, we forgot the whole world isn't our weird tech utopia.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's that again.
I mean, it could also be Harada just being a dick, because Harada is the guy who was like, if you want your your fighting games to work online, petition your government to improve infrastructure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Which,
Harada has
also should happen, but
Right, exactly. Yet again, the answer is both.
And Harada has always been the guy who seemed like annoyed at even being asked about netcode forever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like the entire Big Think Dimension, he's always been like dismissive of it.
Well, yeah, because it's not a problem on his continent, on his land mass. Oh man.
Yeah, but this game is next gen exclusive, which not a lot of those are in Japan.
That's true. There are way more in China. I wonder how it works in China. We should, we should find out.
But let's move on.
Sure.
Rise of the Triad Ludicrous Edition was delayed on consoles. It's still July 31st on PC.
That's right. Even games that came out in the 90s can still get delayed.
Right?
Sea of Stars is going to launch on Game Pass and PS Plus Fucky Wucky. Only the first level of Fucky Wucky, I think. So it's launching on the middle tier of Fucky Wucky and Game Pass.
Yes.
This makes me feel real bad.
Why is that?
Because this is a big, relatively high-profile indie game with a decent amount of mind share and promotion going, man, it's safer to just be on a fucking subscription service. Take what we can get, even if it'll completely suck up all our sales on these two platforms. Like, maybe Switch and PC will close the gap, but I'm just... It's exactly what Netflix did to Hollywood, where it's like, well, you don't get to have middle tiers now. Those are all for streaming.
Yeah, I do wonder. This game definitely had enough weight where I think it could have performed all right without it. Hopefully they got some good deals. Hopefully.
Yeah, I know. I'm still going to buy it because I ain't accidentally hitting that thing on PS Plus.
Here's a fucking weird story. Anthony Fantano, the internet's busiest music nerd, the music reviewing YouTuber, is being sued by Activision because he wants money for his audio they are using. It is something from a TikTok video he uploaded. Activision is claiming he uploaded it to TikTok's "You're able to use this commercially" sound bank, and that everybody else he has been asking for money to use this audio, have just been paying him to get rid of him, but they're brave and gonna litigate.
So, once again, to briefly recap, Anthony Fantano makes a video, goes on TikTok. TikTok counts that as adding it to their commercial license use, because when you do a thing, everyone else on TikTok needs to be able to make their video with your sound, because that's the nature of TikTok. Activision is saying it's okay in our fucking ad for our game, we used your fucking sound because you added it to that license. Which is why the title of this big think makes reference to fucking Call of Duty stealing the echoey fart sound.
Is their ad on TikTok solely?
I don't know.
Like, does the license cover any other use?
I don't know. I don't know where this ad is playing.
Considering that he was allegedly asking $600,000 and allegedly on Activision has got that from other people, I can't think of a company that would just hand over $500,000. That seems unfucking unlikely.
Yeah.
It's much easier for me to believe big company can do whatever it wants. Law does not apply to us.
Right, as usual.
Yeah, without actual legal knowledge of the situation, always err on the side of fuck the huge company.
Yeah, they can drop $500,000. It doesn't affect them at all, actually.
Yeah, the laws are for the classes, not the masses.
We talked about Granblue.
Yeah, we already talked about that specific thing.
So it's time for this week's edition of Ubisoft is fucking washed.
Okay.
Allegedly, Immortals Phoenix Rising 2 has been canceled. It being in development at all was also just a rumor. So it's a rumor that they canceled the game they were rumored to have been developing. It took you 3 fucking years to figure out you shouldn't make a sequel?
I mean, they were crazy enough to make expansions that literally had new main characters and all sorts of stuff.
I assume that was one of the situations where they sold them before the game was out.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's entirely possible. Companies keep doing that.
Right.
Like, God, like, if the boat takes this long to turn, you guys are fucked. Like, I don't know what else to say. And there was something in the rumors like they're going to focus even more on their super brands now. No games are going to get made from Ubisoft that aren't their super brands.
I'm glad we're getting 5 Assassin's Creed games.
Sure.
Yeah.
Or 1.
All of those things are
Well,
happening.
2. We'll get oh no, that other thing's a Prince of Persia game. It's not an Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
might be getting 1.
Uh-huh.
They might get one of those mobile ones out. That counts.
What about the VR one?
No.
No, that's not.
I know it's allegedly coming out this year. No,
That
it's not
cutscene
happening.
looked great. It reminded me of the what was it, Killing Floor, the PS3 trailer.
I keep waiting for Ubisoft to try
Killing
to put out
Day.
like concept art for a canceled project as a gotcha game.
Man, they would have a lot to put in that. Look at all these PNGs. This art style doesn't match for shit.
Sega has trademarked a logo for something called Sonic and Friends. Who the fuck knows what that is? I assume it's a merchandise line.
Right, that would make sense.
Maybe it's that NFT game they totally weren't going to make, but then yes, we are.
I put it in the I put the logo in the channel.
Ooh, one moment, let me go look at that. Oh, that's cute. That's a cute logo.
Yeah, I assume they're gonna. This is for our stuffed animal line or fucking whatever.
Sonic and Friends.
Yeah, it's obviously.
Yeah,
Sonic and Friends. Sonic and Friends.
And so here's a preview of something that Capcom's gonna fucking announce in less than a month at Gamescom. Capcom is allegedly planning to release an unannounced game by March 2024. They expect to sell millions. We're about exactly as far out from the last Monster Hunter as you would think when they're about to launch a new one.
Yup.
Cool.
I promised this would be the one I got in on the ground floor of and tried to get into Monster Hunter.
Yeah, you gotta hope it's like we're continuing in like the world direction and not, now that we've got all these casuals in, it's time to return.
No, if they were gonna do that, they'd have done that on the Switch one, and that one's just like world mechanics compressed down into the Switch.
Yeah, I think also Monster Hunter World did come out in the first few months of the year it came out, so it also lines up at that front, I think. At very least, Rise did.
Yeah, Rise did.
I think Monster Hunter World was like March.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I think Monster Hunter is just a Q1 game for whatever reason.
It's January.
Oh,
There you go. Yeah, so I remember correctly. It was up there with the bad boys of, if I'm not mistaken, Nier Automata and other shit, just being like, Q1 is where it's at, bruh!
And I have a sneaking suspicion that this isn't going to look that much better than Monster Hunter World, because they probably intend to ship it on the Switch too when that comes out.
We'll
Makes
see.
more sense. Makes more sense to do this weird 1-1-1-1 thing where they keep hopping back and forth.
They're able to make the games look a lot better, but be more performant these days. Like Street Fighter 6 launched on PS4,
Right.
and still looks
True.
pretty good. So I assume even if it is like, I assume it'll still be a pretty big graphical leap for Monster Hunter.
Right.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know how much of a graphical leap you need from Monster Hunter World. Like,
I mean,
Yeah.
Jesus, that game was pretty.
right? It was like you need to get the muscle tech they have in Street Fighter, obviously.
Oh, no, there are some
don't-
things you don't want that on in Monster Hunter.
I don't need to see like the Monster Hunter monster with fucking Luke's arm.
It's specifically the Great Jagras is what that is.
Oh man, this might be the one I get in on. Yeah.
Yeah, having a new world would be a good starting place, because it's like Rise is neat, but it's just not enough to grab me in.
For me,
Like
it was
the world
didn't it launch Switch exclusive
Yeah.
at first, then came to PC, and then later other consoles?
Yes.
So for me, that's why that was a no-go, because motherfucker, I'm not playing your goddamn game that looks like that at 30 frames per second. That ain't fucking happening. I will wait till it hits another thing, and then I waited for the rest of time, apparently. Well.
Yep.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
That's it for Big Think this week. Tomorrow, Bob and I, and this is not an exaggeration, we will touch a controller for the first time ever while Paper Mario is booted, because we are beating Paper Mario on tomorrow's stream.
Playing, we don't know because it's 30 hours or something.
Is it that one? I think
it is not 30 hours.
Yeah, you're
Okay.
thinking of 1,000-Year Door.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Oof.
No, that's the one that's going to kill us.
Okay. We're safe for now.
This is a chunk, but we're going to beat it. Look forward to that. I've never fucking played this game.
Right.
So I'm like, that's a different game. I want a sequel
It's
to that game.
very cool. I like it a lot.
It's funny because it's back in the era where it's like when Squaresoft's name was on the game, you kind of knew it was going to be really good. So when that came off of the game,
Then it was
the
concern.
it was the fear.
Yeah.
That's not the case anymore, obviously. That wasn't the case even a few years after that.
What are you talking about? The PS1 had a lot of great Square Enix games.
Yes.
Or Squaresoft games.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's
Well, you're talking PS2.
yeah, PS2.
What are you talking about? Legend of Mana is a beloved classic.
Legend of Mana is the PS1 one you're thinking of.
Dawn of Mana.
Dawn of Mana or Sword of Mana? I think
No,
Sword of
Sword of
Mana might
Mana
be the
is,
Game Boy.
Da, 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 da.
It's a Donomonopia.
Yeah, Dawn of Mana. Yeah, I am thinking of Dawn of Mana. Sword of Mana is the Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, man, Square Enix sure like hit the wall in 6th gen with where they that's when like the weird unfinished stuff started to come out, like Radiata stories. I'm like, wow, this would sure be a game if it was a game. It's like, we have 120 people you can recruit to your party, and I'm like, do you have a story? And then they leave.
You know, the people I knew at the time were less concerned whether or not it had a story because they were very interested in having 120 people.
Sometimes that's enough to do something for you. So you couldn't exist as a franchise after all.
But that's gonna be it for me and Bob tomorrow. Aggro, what do you got going on?
Stuff.
Okay, that's cool. Hey Chris, what you got going on?
I was busy, so I didn't stream War Cops, so I'm gonna stream War Cops on Saturday,
My God,
Battlefield Hardline.
War Cops.
War cops. They're cops, but they're at war.
I forgot.
I'm like, what the fuck is war cops? Jesus.
Yeah, that game is either gonna have the most nothing story imaginable, and I'll completely regret doing it. Or it'll have an unbelievably funny story, and I won't regret doing it at all. Because just from looking at the main character, I'm like, okay, he's non-white and has gang tattoos and is a member of the LAPD. This could be unbelievably funny.
It's gonna be Amy Hennig's crown jewel of her career, and we just didn't even know. Welp. I'm very excited for that stream. I wish my iPhone had a notification setting where it's like, when he goes live, air raid siren. Just air raid siren. I need to know the second that happens. Anyways, that's going to be it for Big Think to Mention this week. See you later. Bye!
Airplane, and he sent a ship full of clones out here to kill you. But I'm not a clone, I'm real. Now this is the tricky part. I also want to kill you. Fascinating. It's settled then. You'll let me plunder America, and I'll let you live.
Patreon.com/GB podcast.